Hello, welcome back to London. My name is Beast, and today we're back with Sky Full of Stars here. Something I want to get out of the way first in this video is thank you to King of Jokers for gifting me the Princess, the Stray Cat, and Matters of the Heart. Thanks for gifting me that. I'm just gonna go ahead and if any of you want me to play a game, I'm always going to play the games I actually own first because, you know, I don't have a job. I kind of need to, you know. So I'm always going to try to play the ones I have first. So if there's a game you desperately want me to play and are willing to, you know, spend the money for, potentially again, even, just go ahead, feel free to gift it to me. That's why the Steam account is down in the good old description, and do also tell me if you want me to mention it or not, because if you want to remain anonymous, that's completely fine. Like, I went ahead and asked King of Jokers if it's fine. Said it's fine. Anyways, background roulette. On the left hand side we have the dream where the Ren dreams of that one thing that happened in his childhood with Rydia in Rydia's Route. And on the right hand side we have Karen at the mixer. Also, the headphones may be even more annoying today because turns out, I don't know how well I can show it, but isn't it slightly red around here? Well, if it is, that's because I do believe there's like a pimple like inside the earlobe, and that's fucking painful. I don't know how that happens. That happens every now and again, but yeah. We didn't have school the next day. Sadly, I have my seminars tomorrow. And I got the promise and went through the penalty game. With the penalty game. It's just... What the fuck? Hold on. After swimming to the opposite side of the river and back, Takichi seemed to be at a loss for words. Yeah, I'm fine. Tried my best to look unconcerned as my teeth clattered, and Hikari ran up next to me. My lips were probably blue. I took the towel from Hikari and began drying off. But with only my upper body naked and my pants still on, drying off would be impossible. So I did it. I looked at them with an expression that dared Takichi and his lackeys to complain. Yo, this man is crazy. Like, if he's doing that, I don't doubt he will do that. Like, I won't ever doubt he will do something when he says it. Like, he would murder us if he said he would. I felt a little better as I looked at speechless Takichi and his goons. By the way, after the recording yesterday, my throat actually hurt from the whole kitty voice, I think. Anyways, sorry! After apologizing to Hikari, I took back my shirt and jacket and had planned to go out in style with my jacket laid across my shoulders. And that's when... Uh-oh, yep. Then Miss Satomu appeared, seemingly well aware of the situation and quite angry. And next to her... Oh. That was Saya. It was apparent that she had already spoken with the teacher. Sorry. Holding back her anger for now, Miss Satomu grabbed my hand and began walking. I was really impressed with how well she kept her anger in check. Miss Satomu took me to her house and threw me into the bath until already filled with hot water.
100数えるまで出てはダメですからね。
As I began to feel the warmth take her over my frozen body in the bath, I murmured to myself, at least it's all over now. These past few days really were a lot of fun. I had looked up a lot of information on stars while working together with Hikari on the stargazing meetup. Celestial objects and cosmos was all such a different world from the one I'd known until now. Learning about the mechanisms of the vastness of space was a lot of fun. I studied telescopes and was happy that I was slowly learning how to use them too. More than anything, looking through the lens at real stars was the most exciting. I had done everything together with Hikari. It was just so much fun to nurture a new fascination with someone else. I was happy that I had been able to share that enjoyment together with someone. But now it was over. Like me, Hikari was really popular in our class and had a lot of friends. She even said that she was the type to get bored easily. You could tell that just by looking at her. I was sure that the Knight on the Galactic Railroad girl was satisfied now that she'd seen the Winter Albireo.
月に大地があるって分かったとき、アキトはどう思った？私はね、行ってみたいって思った。ここじゃない。どこか遠くの世界。そこには山があって、谷があって、確かな大地があって、まるで別の世界がそこにあるように感じて、行ってみたいって思ったんだ。
Somewhere far from here? Why would I want to go? Until now, I didn't want to go anywhere. After losing my parents, I didn't enjoy anything. I had always thought nothing would ever be fun again, so to feel enjoyment again. I was just as lonely because I knew I could never get back what had been lost. Just so lonely, not just as lonely. I'm a fucking idiot. Sorry for making you worry so much. I had my hair dried thoroughly with a dryer and was even lent some clothes, after which I was given a scolding that was even more thorough than the hair drying. When it was finally released, it was already dusk.
Akito!
Hikari was in front of the small candy store. He waited for me?
だって、私の代わりに罰ゲームやってくれたんじゃん。
Well, I said that I would. Besides, I was the one that didn't make it in time. That's how I answered, but that wasn't how I felt. Simply put, all our fun times would soon be over, and I was bitter. I was in despair. On top of that, she watched me get bullied by Takeichi and the others. Though just remembering their faces after I got out of the river filled me with some satisfaction. Wait. She didn't really watch you. Kari watched with a silly pseudo-angry expression.
またぶっきらぼうしてる。そんなんじゃ、お姫様に怖がられちゃうよ。
Huh? Pooch? Question mark?
よしよし、いい子だね。
Saya, a pooch!
ワン吉じゃ、もうないんだよ。ねえ、天の川さん。
Saya nodded her head.
小太郎ちゃん。
Kotaro? Pooch or actually Kotaro? Pooch, well, Kotaro answered
太
happily.
郎の子供だから、小太郎。
Brr.
Brr. Taro, lying in front of the kennel, answered reluctantly. So you guys decided to give him to Miss Saotome?
うん。最初ダメって言ってたんだけど、太郎が小太郎を気に入っちゃったみたいで、小太郎を連れてこうとしたら、小屋の中にかくまって出てこなくなっちゃったの。小太郎ちゃんも太郎ちゃんに懐いてるみたい。
Tiny Kotaro frolicked around Big Taro, and he looked a bit annoyed.
厳密に言うと、先生じゃなく太郎が引き取ってくれたってわけ。
Ah, well, I'm glad he found a place to live. You know what, fuck it, I'm not gonna do the kid voice anymore. I felt relieved, but also a little lonely. Stargazer's meetup was over, and now the stray dog had found its home. Another link between Hikari and I gone. Worrying over it won't help anyone, though. As I got ready to leave, Saya, who had been busy petting Kotaro's head, suddenly stood up.
私、空見くんに謝らないといけない。自己紹介の時、急に泣き出したりして、ごめんなさい。
You don't need to apologize. I'm the one who hurt your
違う
feelings.
の。私が勘違いしてて。
It's fine, I was the one that created the misunderstanding anyway.
アキト。
Hikari poked me in the side. It actually hurt a bit. Now what is it?
黙って天の川さんの話を聞け。
Okay. I stopped talking. And when I did, Saya, with a nervous expression and all, began to open up a little by little.
前の学校にいた時、私、この目のせいでずっとからかわれたり、自分でも嫌で。
Oops.
だってみんなと違うから。だから隠したくて。
Hold on. Is that why you were wearing sunglasses? So it had nothing to do with inner city high fashion.
でも先生が外しなさいって言うから仕方なく外したら、そしたら。
This rude-ass kid went, "Oh my god, that's Sabireo!"
怪獣みたいだって言われたんだと思ったの。
It wasn't just a simple misunderstanding. It must be really frustrating to have someone you're meeting for the first time mention the eye colors you've had a complex about your whole life. And in front of a large group of people too.
ごめんなさい。
No, I'm sorry too. This misunderstanding wasn't Star's responsibility. Besides, most people don't know the name of Stars. I was the one in the wrong for saying something so careless.
でも違うって分かった。昨日怪獣なんかじゃなかった。綺麗だった。冬のアルビレオ。
Saya struggled to get the words out.
私の瞳に似てた。
The tiniest voice, the words "just a little" were added to the end of the sentence as she hung her head and
あ
blushed.
りがとう、サラミくん。私の目を見て、あんな綺麗なものを最初に思い浮かべてくれて。嬉しかった。すごくすごく。
Saya said, finally working through her shyness. Her eyes were glued to the floor. Over that smile, I began to spin and I stumbled a bit. Even Hikari was standing next to me. I'm not sure why, but she stumbled a bit too.
それが言いたかった。
Like most of them just...
だから、その。
One of them just fucking died for a second.
それじゃ。
She vigorously bowed her head. And before we knew it, Saya was gone.
何あれ。超可愛いんですけど。
Hikari said with an expression of utter disbelief as she gazed in the direction that Saya had run off to. Continued to gaze down the same street she'd vanished to, my heart beating frantically in my
さ
chest.
てと、それじゃあ私も帰ろっかな。
Hikari said cheerfully after petting
じ
Kotaro.
ゃあね、小太郎。お利口にするんだよ。あ、太郎、小太郎のことよろしくね。
Burp.
After the two dogs said their goodbyes,
またね、アキト。
she turned to give me a big wave goodbye before taking off. Sure, later. The loneliness, not unlike the setting sun, the dogs and I watched Hikari run off. It was the beginning of the week, Monday. Went to school the same way I always do. Head to the classroom the same way I always do, but this time, for some reason, I stopped right before the room. How was it before? Recently, Hikari and I have been doing nothing but Star Talk every day. Before that, I don't really want to remember. I was blunt and treated all the students like enemies. So, how would I enter the class now?
ひど ってみんなでやろうよ。あ、おー、
Whoops.
いいね。
They really are loud. I could hear the entire conversation outside the classroom. That voice seemed a little farther than usual. I mean, obviously, she's on the other side of the door, but... Morning! I entered the classroom the same way I always do, giving a curt greeting to everyone. My classmates' reaction was not as cold as it had been before. Since the Stargazers meetup, even I felt like that... I feel like that accepted me as a member of the class. Speaking of Takichi and his friends, his attitude was just as bad as ever, but since that winter swim, it didn't seem like he wanted much to do with me.
Ohayo, Akito.
Morning! Gave her a quick greeting, then headed to my seat. Since there was no more event to prepare for, didn't want to bother her by being too familiar. As I took my seat, my eyes met with Saya, who was seated by the window. Morning! The girl was so shy that even a trivial greeting made her blush and look away. Thought we had gotten to know each other, but I guess I was wrong. Sat in my seat. Didn't have anything to do, so I pulled out a book. It was a book I had planned on returning to the library today, a book on stars. But it was so difficult to understand that I couldn't even read it. Hikari? Hikari picked over the book I was reading and grinned.
次は何見る?
Excuse me?
何驚いてんの? あれで終わりじゃないよね.
Hikari said in a somewhat worried voice. Was she talking about stargazing? Oh, of course not. I certainly had intended to look at more stars, especially since I had the telescope.
よかった。アキトがいなきゃ見られないもんね。
Hikari sounded relieved as she turned to the other students.
ねえ、またみんなで天体観測会やろうよ。
Some proposition caused a bit of commotion in the class. They didn't seem to take it so well.
確かに綺麗だったけど。
Fucking cold, man!
寒いし、もういいかな。何それ。やろうよ、一緒に。
Even as Hikari called out to everyone, they only replied with disinterested expressions. Right before my eyes, Hikari's bubbly expression deflated. I'd hoped, for just an instant, that something might happen, but it looked like it was really over. Well, that's just how it was. Didn't have any big expectations anyway. Saya, seated in the corner, raised her hand.
私も混ぜてもらっていい?
The withered Hikari's expression brightened immediately.
いいよ、いいに決まってんじゃん。ね、アキト。
Yeah, of course. I said in agreement. My face flushed. Yes, I almost again said face. My face flushed.
おいでおいで、天の川さん。ほら、こっち。
Saya stood and timidly made her way over to my seat.
また綺麗な星見たいから。
He said, looking like a deer in headlights. She was so cute.
3人でさ、クラブを作ろうよ。クラブ？天体観測クラブ。
Hikari looked proud of her good idea. Saya and I looked up and instinctively locked eyes.
面白そう。
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I said, hiding my intense elation by answering in a rather unconcerned voice.
それはいいアイデアね。先生。
At some point, the teacher had gotten up and come over to us.
そんなあなたたちにこれをあげるわ。
The teacher placed the book on my desk. Wow, look! A beginner's guide to astronomy.
先生があなたたちくらいの頃に使っていた本なんだけど。へえ。それって何年くらい前？
Oh no. Shouldn't have said that. Risatoma's expression became cross for just an instant from Hikari's simple-minded question. But she quickly returned her soft smile. Grown-ups really were amazing.
そんなものは宇宙の歴史に比べたら瞬きの一瞬よ。それと、あの三極と課題はずっと使ってていいわ。
Are you sure? I'd actually been worried about that. Couldn't look at the stars without the tripod and stand.
冬の川で泳ぐようなバカな真似を今後二度としないならね。
Sorry about that.
ごめんなさい。
You were uninvolved, Saya. You don't need to apologize. The teacher chuckled a bit when she'd seen that even Saya had been dragged into apologizing. Thanks, Miss Saotome.
大事に使ってね。
After saying that, the teacher moved away from my seat.
早乙女先生って優しくて綺麗で素敵ね。でしょ？私たちの自慢の先生だもん。でもって、アキトの好きな人なんだよ。知ってた？
Don't be stupid! How would you even think something like that?
ああ、赤くなってる。私見たもんね。こないだの観測会の時もそうやって赤くなってたの。
Honest to God, that was probably cold.
そうなんだ。
Saya is highly disappointed. I told you that's not true!
ほら、チャイム鳴ったわよ。自分の席へ戻りなさい。は
ーい。That was how the Mikazuki Astronomy Club had started. Wasn't an official club or anything, but I preferred it that way. We just used the title of club to hang out together and look at the stars. That's the sun! That's the nice guy! I know why I'm doing this. It was like adventuring around the Milky Way every day. With our incessant minds. We were hungry to learn as much as we could. We pointed our telescope to the edges of the night sky, to the edges of the cosmos. We gazed at clusters of countless stars and dreamed of places far, far away, far from here. I might just get rid of my... Okay, so apparently this, I figured out, I was explained what that graph is supposed to be about. Basically, like, it shows you elementary, middle school, and then now. And it always shows, like, morning, afternoon, morning, afternoon, morning, afternoon, I think. Or morning, night, morning, night, morning, night. Whatever. It could just be that it doesn't even matter with the morning and night. It's just like elementary school, middle school, and now high school. That's how it was explained to me, at least. This girl really irks me, though. Even when we were younger, she always acted without thinking. I'm not really interested in being involved with someone so reckless.
へえ、いいじゃない。運命の再会って感じでさ。あ、もしかして前に昔いろいろあったって言ってたの、その子のこと？
Something like that.
ほんで。口を割る気はないと、なかなか手強い。胸の谷間程度じゃ不足か。
Yes.
ねえ、あれどうだった？興奮した？
Now she's gonna reveal that it was literally just this. Like that old trick. Just like pushing that together. I did.
あきとくん素直。
またバイト中に OL といかがわしいことしてんのか。
Hey asshole. Just getting some advice on life. I answered, looking at my phone while Takichi poured another round of coffee into the paper cup. Our cafe space allowed free refills of coffee. Sometimes we even got a quick meal if the manager was around.
お前の周り女子いっぱいいるじゃん。何も顔も知らないどっかの OL なんかに相手してもらわなくても。
Hey, don't bash on a nice mature office lady. Like I will beat your ass, Takeichi. I'm glad we're not that close though. If we're too close, there's still a lot you can't say. For example, you can't complain about meeting up with a really close childhood friend again after several years. Besides, I gave a bold grin. Might not know her face, but how about this?
なんだこれ。
Look
お
closely.
ま、これ
Yep, nothing but cleavage.
エロ自撮りかよ。
Takichi slumped down even more and looked up at me with such a look of admiration. I just chuckled and shrugged. Komako sent it because she said I sounded depressed. Oh, the kindness of this open-minded older lady burst forth from her very soft-looking rack.
な、その OL ってさ、お前のこと誘ってるんじゃねえか。
I doubt it.
いやいやいや、ありえない話じゃないだろう。じゃないとそんな画像送らないって。年下の男の子をちょっとつまみ食いしちゃおっかな的なさ。
You really think so? I mean, I thought just like a second, maybe, but you know.
あるある、全然あるって。
Don't
い
go
け
for
るっ
it.
て、アキト。
Don't go for it, Octo. Yeah, but I'm not really that type of guy. But I guess she is always listening to me complain. Probably really tired from life in the city, so I might be able to might be helping her ease some of her stress. I guess I could give it a try.
何を頑張るの？
Nothing. What?! I panicked then, quickly shoved my smartphone into my back pocket.
ん？
Oh, that's quite a nice outfit. I like it. And once again, like every picture, like I've never really seen like her sprite that big, but everything I've seen about her, it made her look flat. She's not flat. That's interesting. I always thought she would be flat before I started this game. Welcome, mademoiselle.
どうしたの？そんなに慌てて。すごく怪しいよ。
Ah, it's nothing really. Just talking, right, Take?
ああ、天の川にはまだちょっと早いな。
早い？
I kicked Takeichi in his narrow butt. You idiot! Do you realize how much more suspicious you sound?
口が滑った。
Takeichi took the coffee refill and ran back to the cafe space.
もしかして、二人でエッチなサイトとか見てた？
At this point, just agree. Just agree. It's better than, revealing the fact that you received nudes. What?
アキト君も男の子だもんね。そういうこともするよね。
What does that mean? That's what guys do. Do you look at their sites too, Saya?
見ないよ。何バカなこと言ってるのよ。
She so looks at those sites. I was just kidding, though that intense reaction it was quite suspicious. Saya blushed all the way to her neck, then hung her head.
私、エッチなサイト見てるように見えた。
It's always the innocent-looking ones. No, not at all. It was quite strange for her to even say the word.
そう。
The expression of Saya's face changed to one of complete relief. So, how did that favor go?
本当ね、天文部の活動をしてなかったみたい。
What? So, what were they doing?
漫画描いてた。
Saya said with a dubious
う
expression.
ちの学校、漫研が禁止なんだって。だから、天文部で漫画描いてるみたい。
It's just a cover then. I'd asked Saya to check out the Seisen Academy Astronomy Club. Seisen Girls Astronomy Club had once been a member of the Six Stars Club, but they hadn't showed up at the gathering a few days back. We thought that maybe they were afraid of getting into trouble for meeting with another school without permission, but that wasn't the case. That'll be a bit difficult to explain though. Saya said apologetically. I had been thinking about how to revive the Six Stars Club, and I had my sights set on Seisen's Astronomy Club to help raise money. 2 schools had already dropped out because of our talk about buying a telescope. Thought I might be able to improve the club's situation if I could pull in the Seisen Club, who hadn't been at the last meeting. And I thought that maybe if the Seisen Club had some good equipment, the other 2 schools would be pleased. I was hoping for a bit much though. So I just watched me and grinned as I sat there with my arms folded, lost in deep thought.
やる気だね、アキトくん。
I guess.
それってやっぱり光がいたから？
Don't be silly, she's got nothing to do with it.
でも前はやりたくなさそうだったのに。ねえ、本当にいたんだよね、あの光が。
Yeah, she was. As I sat there with my arms crossed, I suddenly recalled our reunion from a few days ago.
アキト。
That night, a strange girl I'd met at the abandoned station called my name.
アキトだよね。
Hikari?
ブイ。
Even when I remembered it now, I still didn't get her pose, but she somehow gave me more confidence. That was definitely Hikari Ikoboshi. But why? Why are you there?
のりちゃん先輩。ほうき星さん、どうしてここにいるの？今日は来ないんじゃ。そのつもりだったんですけどね。やっぱり気になっちゃって。どなたですの？うちの新入部員です。どうもー、尼高天文部に新しく入りましたほうき星ひかりです。よろしくお願いします。新入部員？おお、そうなんです。むつら星の会の噂を聞いて入部してきてくれたんです。早くもむつら星効果が現れていたんですわね。今夜はなんて素晴らしい夜なのかしら。ようこそおいでくださいましたほうき星さん、歓迎いたしますわ。光でいいですよ。ほうき星って長くてまどろっこしいでしょ。ひかりさん、この場所を教えてくれたのも彼女なんです。この辺りに昔住んでたとかで。まあそうでしたの。それでこんな素敵な場所をご存知だったのね。ところで空見くんがさっきから抜け殻のように無表情を決めてますが。
What the fuck is churlish? Hold up! What the fuck is churlish? Ah! So, mean-spirited, rude, impolite, ungracious. Basically, pissed slightly. I'd arrived right behind Hikari and had been silently watching their exchange with a dead expression.
どうかなさったの？まるで幽霊でも見たような顔をして。
Sure wish I had! Yeah, well, it's pretty close to how I feel.
ひどくない？私幽霊じゃないし、生きてるよ。ほらほら。
She lifted her arm in an attempt to show liveliness. Aside from the old-fashioned pose, her skirt had flipped up, created quite an inappropriate view.
ほうき星さん、空見くんのことを知ってるの？ええ、幼馴染なんです。でもって、私たち三日月天文クラブのメンバーでしたから。
Do you Why do I feel like they all think that she ditched them, even though she like wrote the letter to just make sure that they don't misunderstand? But he had a hissy fit and didn't fucking read it. So now she's just gonna like act as if everything is fine because from her point of view, everything is fine. And they're like, what? What's that? What's happening?
アキト？
Are you really Hikari?
どこからどう見ても私でしょうに。
Hikari said while striking some strange, sexy poses.
ふん。
You've completely changed. She looked nothing like she had when we were younger. She was quite a petite girl back then, always running around in jeans. People that didn't already know her would even mistake her for a boy. Now, no matter how you looked at her, she became a total lady. If I had to describe her, I'd say it was like seeing glimpses of the old Hikari in her face and
まあ
voice.
ね、私も大人になったからね。
Couldn't believe it. Actually, I couldn't believe any of this.
今日は私が至らぬせいで皆様に迷惑をかけてしまい、自分の不甲斐なさに呆れていました。 けれど空見くんに助けていただき、そしてこうして新しい仲間と出会うこともできたわ。はあ、なんて素晴らしい日なのかしら。はい、隊長。すごく楽しかったです。
Hikari watched all the older students talk excitedly with a big grin on her face, then glanced over to me.
というわけだから、またよろしくね、アキト。
Working with you again. If you think back to that day. When I passed her by her while walking with Kotaro, she must have been walking back from that place. If I'd really thought about it, at that time Hikari wasn't actually trying to crash the viewing party. I'm just mad at myself for letting Hikari see me lose control. Not getting the 6 Stars Club back together so I can get to Stargate. Gazing, okay? And definitely not for Hikari.
じゃあどうしてなの?
I just want to end this on a good note. Saya cocked her head to the side with a rather confused expression. If I leave now, there will only be 2 schools left in the 6 Stars Club. To be honest, it'll be hard to continue in that state. That's why, if possible, I'd like to get the group back on its feet before I quit. But to do that, seems I'll need something else other than the Seis and the Girls Astronomy Club. I really need to use them I really wanted to use them to bring back Nishihaya and Moromisawa.
抜けようと思ってるくせに、すごく熱心だね。
Well, I guess. These guys really like looking at the stars. I really did like the instant way that Orihime gazed up at the starry sky. Plus the genuine atmosphere that they created really felt familiar and radiant. I thought it would be nice if I could lend a hand in some way. If there's some way I can help protect that radiant place, then I'd do anything. Then, once it's all over, I'm quitting the astronomy club.
Huh?
Saya's multicolored eyes widened in surprise.
天文部を辞めちゃうの?
Yeah, it's my responsibility, right? If the 6 Stars Club could become a place that drew in newer students with its own charm, that would be best. And it would be easy for me to slip out. Besides, I can't live my entire life in the rooms of the school.
住むところどうするの? 家に帰るの?
I'm not going back home. Hopefully by then I'll have found a boarding house. And if I haven't, I guess just try living in a tent for a while. I laughed lightheartedly. This time I'll make a clean break from the astronomy club. Right, Take? Weren't you the one telling me to forget about the astronomy club? Takichi's face pleaded with me not to bring that up in front of Saya. This was payback for the time that I made the same face as Takeichi.
俺は光のこと吹っ切れよって言ったんだぞ。
That's the same thing to me.
つうか前言撤回しとくぞ。光とまた会えたんだったら無理して吹っ切ることもねえだろ。
What the hell does that mean? Saya looked at me with a scowl she would usually never show and just stared silently.
なんで? 辞めることないじゃん、天文部。光も戻ってきてくれたんでしょ? だったら一緒にやればいいじゃない。昔みたいに。
No way, who the hell would watch stars with Hikari? Mean, what about you, Saya? You don't look at stars or anything anymore, right?
私のことはいいの?
What was she getting all upset for? Saya's cheeks got all puffed up. It was cute, but she was also really mad. But I just ignored her with a blank expression. And that's when our customer came in. Welcome!
もう知らないんだから。
Saya pulled the automatic doors back open before they closed and stormed out of the store. So stubborn.
お前もな。
I completely ignored Takeichi's words of faked astonishment. I honestly thought that Hikari was going to walk in. It was great working with you all today. After my part-time job, I pushed my bike down a mostly deserted dark street. There must be some other way. Something to get Nishihaya and Moromisawa back. For example, if they were to get the Seisen girls to come, if we were to get the Seisen girls to come back, it would still be quite different from the Six Stars Club that Orihime wants. But even so, if everyone enjoyed stargazing in a more relaxed atmosphere, it would be easy to bring in younger students. But Orihime was already a third year. She'd be graduating this spring. After she's gone, it would just be Honoka. She'd be able to continue bringing in students alone. Honoka has always been more of an assistant. Oriko is just a beginner, and Hikari is way too fickle. Why do you care so much about that group when I'm the one that's trying to leave anyway? But I thought it was strange that even I thought it was strange that I worried so much. Message from Komako. I stopped walking and pulled out my phone.
いいこと思いついたよ。望遠鏡が買えないならさ、いっそ作っちゃえばいいんじゃない？どうや？明暗でしょう。
Build a telescope. What? That's right! That's what we need to do! I'd been walking quite sluggishly, but now I hurried to get onto my bicycle. I biked with all the strength and speed I could muster down the street back to the school. This is it! I don't know why I decided to do that. Way back to elementary school all of a sudden. Why? Here, have a look! Turned a black and white page at the back of the telescope book I had borrowed from the town library.
本当だ。どれ？私も見せて。
Hikari and Sai peered at the book, their faces closed as they shared a meat bun.
望遠鏡って作れるんだ。しかも超かっけえじゃん。
Hikari's eyes shone, just like I thought they would. Eyes shone, probably, not shone.
大砲みたいだね。
Sai looked at the black and white photo in the book, her albino eyes as big as saucers. We were all drawn in by a throwaway page at the back of the book on DIY telescopes. Kotaro looked at us with big lonely eyes, missing all the attention.
作ろう、私たちも。きっと三日月天文クラブの秘密兵器になるよ、これ。
You're right!
こんな大きなもの。
Whoops.
私たちに作れるのかな。大丈夫、大丈夫。なんとかなるって。
You'd all head to the library to see if they have any other DIY books.
望遠鏡作る？
Yeah. What he meant, the others looked at the documents laid out on the desk. If we can't buy one, it would be better to build one.
会長？
Orihime was silent, but her eyes shone like the stars.
作りましょう。私たちの望遠鏡。
She said with excitement as she brought her hands together. Seems like she was rather pleased with the idea. Noriko watched us all curiously before timidly raising a question.
望遠鏡を作るってどういうこと？
Look at the damn documents and you'll know what! We mean just that. We'll build it with our own hands, this telescope. And, little did they know it was an actual telescope made of human hands. That thought was disgusting and unsettling. This is a Dobsonian telescope. Noriko from Amahai had come all the way to Meiko Academy just to hear my proposal. However, she kept a confused face as if to say, "Who is that?" when I brought up the Dobsonian. You see, a Dobsonian is when observing faint celestial bodies, you need a telescope with a large objective diameter that can collect a lot of light. But generally speaking, those kinds of telescopes are quite expensive. Even though we had some trouble with our budget at the last meeting, a large-scale telescope would require a budget several times larger. And since the lens needs to be large, it takes more work to move around. which means many were put in a lot of permanent locations. That's why large-scale telescopes have always been out of reach for amateur astronomers. Then came the Dobsonian telescope. For virtually no money, people were able to build their own light and easy-to-carry large projective diameter telescopes. Because they were handmade, there is an unavoidable drop in precision that is quite essential to astronomy. I'm not sure how the experts would feel about it, but for the amateurs enjoying themselves, it isn't a big issue. They want to observe the deep sky objects that are impossible to see with smaller objective diameters, but they don't have the funds or location for such a huge telescope. So that's why we have these handmade telescopes for hobbyists. By the way, the name comes from the person who popularized the design, John Dobson. Most are Newtonian-type reflecting telescopes, but the materials for them can be found at local home improvement stores. So we don't have to worry about any special equipment. After saying that, I pointed to the documents I had laid out. Blueprints, materials, a rough estimate of the costs, etc. Blueprints I got from the internet was available to the public. Blueprint, not blueprints. Skilled amateur astronomers that had built Dobsonian telescopes many times over had made their blueprints available for anyone to use. From those blueprints, I picked the ones that seemed workable for us.
自分たちで作った望遠鏡で星を見る。なんて素敵な思いつきかしら。費用も大幅に抑えられていますね。
If we get some scrap material, we could save even more money. The surrounding area was all rural, so I'm sure we could find some materials if we looked.
望遠鏡を作っちゃおうだなんてすごいです。そんなことができるなんて知りませんでした。しかし、うまくいくでしょうか。簡単ではないと思うのですが。
Well, that is,
そんなことは問題ではないわ。
Orihime said
天
confidently.
文学の父、ガリレオ・ガリレイが初めて夜空へ向けた望遠鏡は自作したものでした。その後、多くの天文家たちが望遠鏡を自作改良し、星空へとそれを向けてきた。自分たちの手で望遠鏡を作り、星を望む行為は偉大な先人の足跡をたどる旅でもあるのです。
Also, by making the most essential object, astronomy, with our own hands, we'll be able to develop an even deeper understanding. I think there is much to be learned from just making one. Orihime just smiled sweetly and
も
nodded.
しぼんやりとしか星の見えない望遠鏡ができてしまったとしても、それでいいじゃない。自分たちで作った望遠鏡で見る星の光はきっと格別の眺めとなるはずだわ。
Roke and Noriko both brightened after hearing Orihime's
この
words.
計画を提案すれば、西高と諸見沢も戻ってきてくれるかもしれませんね。きっと戻ってきてくれますよ。だってすごく楽しそうですもん。やりましょう、会長。
It seemed as if we had come to a decision. Oh, by the way, I wanted you to take a look at the materials. I pointed out to the materials sections on the section of the documents. On the entire budget sheet, there was one part that had a special marker next to its price. The main mirror.
結構しますね。うわー、高い。
The main mirror is a vital part of a reflecting telescope. The concave mirror plays the important role of gathering light in the lens tube. It takes the place of the lens in a refracting telescope, the type of telescope most people think of, or binoculars. Precision and rather high image quality would depend on the mirror used to build the telescopes. We could also create our own main mirror, but we would need glass in order to do that. I've researched the price of glass. If we go with a Japanese maker, the quality is nice, but the price is very high. If we go with a maker from overseas, it is cheaper, but there are some downsides, like inconsistencies in quality, or that it could take months from the time we order until the time we receive it. I wasn't sure about the details, but that was the information I had found on websites. With an overseas maker, if there was a problem, it might get really troublesome. Also, if it took months to get here, Orihime might have already graduated by then.
安全に行くなら既製品か。さもなくば国内メーカーから材料のガラスを仕入れるのが良さそうですね。けどそれだと結構かかっちゃいますよね。そうなるとまた前みたいに。
That's true, but I might be able to do something about
ど
that.
うにかとは？
I think I know of a place with some glass we could use as our material. Can't make any guarantees on the quality, but oh, and I have one request. Could you give me the contact info for Ikari from Mama High?
ほうき星さんの？
Even though we were already acquainted since we were childhood, I still felt uneasy about asking for another girl's contact information.
はい。
Honoka took out some kind of
これ
big.
をどうぞ。新しい名簿です。
On the list was Ikari's name and contact information. Thanks a lot.
いいえ、助かったのは私たちの方だわ。
Orihime said as she grasped my hand. It was, nothing.
前回の官房会でも助けていただいたわ。本当になんとお礼を言ってよいのやら。
So I'm going for her first, by the way.
はい。すごいですよね、空見くん。まだ1年生なのに。
The three older girls gazed at me proudly. Yes. The most beautiful out of the group was currently holding my hand on her own. Stupid ass mosquito. Her hands were so soft that I started to think about how nice it would be to sleep wrapped in their warmth. But anyway, just let me know if you come across any materials we could use for the mirror. I wanted to shake up Orihime's hands to hide my own shyness, but I didn't want to waste this moment. I stayed put, fully aware of how hot my face felt. I'm sure they've already friend-zoned me since I'm younger than they are. I mean, that's what you think. You know? Some of them like I'm younger. Sometimes I just didn't know what to think of Orihime and the others' attitudes towards me. Well, at least I've gotten my hands on Hikari's contact info. Stopped my bike and pulled out the list I got from Honoka. Hikari's current contact info was written there. It was her phone number, email address, plus the ID for a chat application that I always used. So I thought about the best way to reach her. So, as I thought about the best way to reach her, I went over for some messages I had sent to Saya. Hey, do you remember the time we built the telescope?
あったね。
Do you remember what we did with the thing we used for the reflector?
エンシェントイビルアイのこと？
What? Yeah, that one!
さあ、どこやったっけ？私持ってないよ、あんな大きなの。
Whoops. I don't have it either. Did we trash it, maybe?
多分、光なら知ってると思うよ。
The Ancient One's evil eye. Hikari had found it back when we tried to make our own Dobzonian. He's probably thrown it out by now. Maybe it's best not to even ask. Nah, fuck it, let's ask. Well, it seems like there are some expectations, so I might as well just do it. But before that, I better thank Komako. Komako was the one who'd given me the Dobzonian telescope idea. Thanks to your idea, Komako, the Six Stars Club might be okay after all. Thanks a lot for your help. I should probably use this momentum to talk to Hikari too. Registered Hikari's phone number and email address to the address book in my smartphone. Then open up the chat application to register her ID. Why do I feel like he's just gonna open the application and her chat like he's just gonna open the chat application, enter her ID, and it's just gonna open Komako's chat? Most people use this app to communicate these days. I thought it was the most easiest way to communicate with her. She obviously felt the same way since she had an ID. What the? I searched the ID, but only one user was displayed. Komako. Now why wouldn't Komako be displayed? I thought I'd made a mistake when putting in her ID, so I tried searching again. Komako. That name appeared again. What in the world is going on? I couldn't understand it. Could this be that Hikari was using the same username? compared the ID I had received from Honoka with Komako's ID. Komako 820. Komako 820. They were the same. Also, I recalled seeing this number before. Isn't this Hikari's birthday? I'd always thought they were just just a random collection of digits, so I'd never thought much about it. What the hell? What the hell is going on? Komako's ID and Hikari's ID were the same.
ほんと？よかったじゃん。応援してるからさ。頑張ってね。
Komako's reply arrived perfect timing, but with the seed of doubt planted, I couldn't help but be suspicious of her words. By the way, I was hoping you could help me with one more thing.
なになに？どんとこいだよ。
Do you know where the Ancient One's evil eye is? She read the message, but she's not responding. The message I'd sent was already marked as read, and the usual quick-to-respond Komako remained silent. I wonder if she was scared away by the painful memory of the Ancient One's evil eye, or she might just be in the middle of trying some tempura. Otherwise... Is this really Hikari?! Despite my age, I'd had my fair share of experiences, but every now and again, even I was caught by surprise. I was pretty surprised that I'd run into Hikari at that abandoned trade station too, but the situation was quadruple the level of stupefaction. It felt like the world had been turned over. I was sure that this was how ancient peoples had felt when they saw the first total solar eclipse. I'm just gonna go to work. I rode my bike to work, still dumbfounded. Nope, just gonna go to work. What the fuck is this doing here? Wasn't this supposed to be, like, in here? It used to be. Nah, fuck that. Let's just go here. Boy.
OL の正体が光だった？悪い。意味がさっぱりわからん。光がどっかに就職してたって。
No, it just means that Hikari was pretending to be the office lady Komako.
なんで？だってその OL とはネットで知り合ったんだろ？
Yeah, I'd met Komako on the net. It was on the message board of a certain astronomy website. It was where I'd found a certain piece of astrophotography. The photo had been uploaded about a year ago. The big dumpling is what a comment on the photo had said. Maybe they were trying to say Dipper. An amateur had taken the photo and seems to have added the photo for fun. Added the photo for the fun. No one had responded, so I decided to write something. That's a nice photo. An original constellation. A few days later, a response was posted. Thanks for the reply. It was an original constellation I made a long time ago. Exchanged messages a few times until one day I received an email. I wasn't naive enough to put my email address on the message board.
今都会の方に住んでて全然星が見えないの。退屈しのぎに。
Whoops.
星の話に付き合ってもらえると嬉しいな。
That's what she said there. That was 2 months ago. Since then, I've been exchanging messages with the office lady Komako. Back when we were kids, we couldn't remember the names of any constellations except the most famous ones. So we would just connect a bunch of random stars and make our own. One of those was the Big Dumpling. Takichi looked at me with a face that said, of course Hikari wouldn't use a name like that.
アキトはそれを偶然見つけて掲示板にレスを書いたわけか。
I didn't think that Hikari could have uploaded it. Besides, she had said that she was an office lady from the city. I just believed that other people had the same idea as Hikari and I, so I thought nothing of it. Just kept exchanging messages with Komako.
そしたらやっぱり光だったと。
It appears that way. Do you know where the Ancient One's evil eye is? Didn't get another message after that message was read. I thought for a second it might just be a coincidence, but after going over the facts and seeing how I've yet to receive a message, it was about 99% sure that I was right.
なんとまあ年下の男を誘惑したがってる OL なんてそうそういないってこったな。
With those words, Takichi shattered my dreams. I really did think she was an older woman.
気持ちはわかる。切ないよな。憧れの相手が幻だったなんて。
I shook my head weakly. No, that's not it. We talked about stuff. From really lame confessions to serious advice about life. I said as I showed Takichi the chat log ad with Komako. I really like your advice about some.
何何言ってごらん。
What's the age limit for a guy who's uninitiated?
なんて読むのそれ。
Like a virgin.
どうってね。
Komako?
今ちょっとググってる。
5 minutes later.
いいんじゃないかな。何歳だって。結婚するまで守ってこそ紳士だよ。
お前さ、バカだろ。
Yes, he is. I know about it. At the time, I was really worried about it. Around the end of summer vacation, a bunch of the guys in our class had started exchanging information, who they had and hadn't given up on. I had sat through the entire thing with a rather bored expression on my face, but inside I had been shaking. It was normal for guys our age to worry about stuff like
こんな
that.
のが他にもあると。
I nodded, my expression grave. Before I knew it, I brought up my dark past. So Hikari had all that information in the palm of her hand.
待てよ。じゃああの胸の谷間は
Yeah. Actually, no, it can't. I didn't notice the collarbone. I did not notice the collarbone until now. I'm a fucking idiot. That literally can't be that trick. I kept talking about that trick, but I didn't fucking notice the collarbone. That chest belonged to Hikari. She was quite big. She had gotten taller, but she'd also gotten bigger there, too. So that means this selfie really is Hikari's cleavage. As Takichi leaned over the peak of the screen, I quickly covered it.
なんで隠すんだよ。
It belongs to me!
んだよそれ。ケチ。
Anyway, back to work. I turned back to my work, suddenly feeling a bit more at ease. What the fuck? Returning to my room after work that night, I got my dinner ready, like I always do. I warmed a can on the portable stove and poured the hot water into a container of instant noodles with a discarded rice ball. While waiting, I stared at my smartphone screen aimlessly. The image of Hikari's cleavage. She'd certainly gotten bigger, but was she this big? My memory was cloudy, so I couldn't remember it well. I had been so upset by the sudden reunion that I couldn't recall what Hikari's chest looked like. Besides, it wasn't something you could just stare at. Still no reply from Komako. She'd reply within 5 minutes when I asked her about being a virgin. This was the first time she'd taken so long. Thinking it over again, there had been quite a lot of coincidences between the time I first met Komako and to the time where I met Hikari again. That night, Noriko said that a new member had joined after hearing about the Six Stars Club. She must have heard about the club from me. I talked to Komako about it. And on the night of the stargazing event, she had been in that place. She knew that I'd be there. I don't know what she was waiting for there. She could have been waiting for me, but I don't really know. The real coincidence would have been me finding that photo on the net. At that time, I had been in something of a sentimental period. That was because the Hubble Space Telescope was set to be decommissioned. I had been avoiding astronomy, but for some reason, at that particular moment, I decided to wander around some astronomy website. I thought to console myself while reading posts from other sentimental people. So me finding the big dumpling photo was a coincidence. Really was a coincidence. Unless it was all just some huge lure. So then Hikari had uploaded that photo to the net knowing that I would comment. Had she laid out the perfect trap for me? Why did she even feel like she needed to? But what bothered me most was that Hikari was still watching the stars. She hadn't actually gotten bored with it. Hut! The dark screen of my smartphone shot back to life as it notified me of a new message. She replied, "Wait, so it actually like lights up immediately when receiving a message instead of, just like vibrating and like lights just flickering?"
エンシェントイビルアイなら、私たちの秘密の天文台にあるよ。
Felt a strange kind of calm restored as I read the message. I replied with a short "I see," then set my phone down and went to eat dinner. Back to elementary? No, we're still in now.
西高はドブソニアン政策に乗り気なようでした。ただ、我々に計画の実行能力があるのかどうか、そこに疑念を残しているようです。諸見沢は西高ほどではないですが、望遠鏡の自作に関心があるようで、予算の問題さえクリアできれば参加していただけそうです。
Honoka summed up what the other schools had thought of our Dobsonian project. So our only issues are practicality and budget, right? I'd expected as much. Nishi High had always been fans of gadgets, so I thought they'd jump at the idea of making our own telescope. And there was Moromisawa. Despite being a technical school, I'd heard their approach to astronomy was more laid back. They tended to concentrate on having fun stargazing together without any need for expensive equipment. Sounds like everyone's pretty much strapped for cash. Things were probably different at an elite school like Mako Academy, but most astronomy clubs couldn't hope for much in the way of club funds. In fact, mine didn't get any at all. But since I was the only member, I guess I should count myself lucky that it was still even recognized as an official club. Not that it mattered to me, since I didn't do any club activities anymore. But it must have been tough for the other clubs at Nishiyama and Moromisawa in a similar position. Asking them to pay for this project out of their own pocket really wasn't an option either. We needed some other way to get our funding. That was the problem we had gotten together to discuss. After 10 minutes of petting from Orihime, Kotaro had finally started to warm up to our new friend.
お名前は何ておっしゃるの？小太郎です。私はコタちゃんって呼んでます。そう、小太郎さん。
At least having Kotaro there stopped Orihime from getting bored. Noriko sure is taking her time.
電車に乗り遅れてしまったと連絡が来たので。
Amahai was right on the southernmost edge of Hoshinonaka. Even by train, it would take a while to get here. Waiting for the next train would probably add 20 minutes on to her travel time. As if on cue, Noriko Kano came charging through the ticket gate. Someone else followed after her breathless sprinting form. A girl whose ponytails bounced behind her as she ran. Why was Hikari here too? I'd already made plans to meet Hikari later. I had something I needed to discuss with her. Hikari waved when she saw me. All I could do was look away awkwardly. Kotaro had been shy around Orihime, but now he looked really excited. He leapt up, wagging his tail vigorously. Saya, who had been kneeling down to pet Kotaro, also got to her feet. Hikari met the dumbfounded gaze of Saya's blue and orange eyes, and shot forward, sending her ponytails flying into the air. Jesus Christ! They're attacking! Swamp. Hikari smothered Saya in a tight embrace. Saya made feeble attempts to escape the hug and catch her breath. She looked the same as she did when she got exhausted from playing with Kotaro. Come on, let her go. Someone managed to tear them apart. Hikari flailed her outstretched arms like a child separated from her favorite toy. Hikari's hair swayed as her head bobbed around, examining Saya from every angle. I like how the gaze actually does hit the boobs. Saya said gloomily. She couldn't take her eyes off a part of Hikari's body that had grown especially well. Seeing the two girls together like this really brought their differences into focus. One which was much taller and had matured in other ways too, while the other was still pretty much the same height and modestly endowed. She's not too small though! I liked Saya the way she was though. She was cute after all. As if an answer to my thoughts, she gave me a dismissive look. I held Hikari by her collar in case she tried to latch onto Saya again. I could tell she wasn't too happy. Where before Saya would have been able to look Hikari in the eye, she now had to look up to her a little. Calm your tits! Hikari crouched down and began to pet Kotaro. The dog himself was on cloud 9, playing with Hikari just like old times. It had been years since they last met, but he clearly still remembered her. Probably dead. It happened last year. Was getting pretty old and all. Hikari looked solemnly for a moment, then looked up at the stopping by sign. She was right. We hadn't been to the store together since we were little kids. In that time, our familiar candy store has become a convenience store. Our old dog passed away. Our puppy grew up. As for the 3 ragamuffins, well, we at least looked older, even if some of us hadn't changed all that much. Looks like we're all here. Shall we get going? There was no time to stand around and reminisce. We had a job to do. In here? I nodded and turned to address the group. It'll look weird if we all go in at once, so you Amahai girls wait outside for now. I glanced at Hikari again, then looked away. I still hadn't talked to her about the whole Komako thing. To be honest, it was a little uncomfortable being around her now. Okay, let's go. A highly unmotivated employee greeted us from the register. Everything about her screamed that she'd rather be anywhere else than here. What the fuck happened between that childhood and now to send her into such a state? There weren't any customers in the store apart from us. Hey, Miss Miyaru, do you have time to talk? With a little prompting, Orihime stepped forward from behind me.
早乙女美春先輩ですのね。はじめまして。私、明光学院天文部前部長、そして現六つら星の会の会長を務めさせていただいております。白鳥織姫です。
Orihime concluded her elaborate self-introduction with a polite bow. Miss Miyaru remained unimpressed.
そんなことより早く労働から解放されたい。そこのもっと教え子、さっさと用事済ませてとっとと店番変わりやがれ。
Miss Miharu, you said that out loud.
おっと、これは失礼したな。早乙女美晴、コンビニの店番は仮の姿よ。その実態は？
You know, until someone else turns up, I got the feeling she was holding back from saying a lot more. You already know about the Six Stars Club, right?
うん。
私たち、ある巨大なプロジェクトを動かすことになりましたの。これです。
Honoka spread some papers out on the counter. She'd revised the plans I gave her yesterday and made them look a lot more organized.
へえ、ドブソニアン作るんだ。
そうなんですの。我々はこの望遠鏡を新生六つら星の会の象徴とし、永遠に続く繁栄と結束の
Miss Miharu sat to Orihime's speech with an utterly disinterested look on her face, occasionally stifling a yawn.
未来永劫語り継がれる偉業となることでしょう。
Not really.
もう、終わったの？
Miss Miharu had been spacing out, but now her eyes snapped back into focus. I'd believe this was the same woman who, 4 years ago, would scold students for not concentrating in class.
なんだっけ？
We have been struggling to raise the necessary funds for this project, so we were considering asking for donations from interested parties. The moment money was mentioned, a deep furrow appeared on Miss Miharu's brow. She looked from me to Orihime to Honoka all the time with the same severe expression.
遊ぶお金欲しさに悪い人から借金でもしちゃったの？
Orihime didn't seem to understand and just stared blankly. Honoka flinched under the former teacher's glare and shook her head. Satisfied with these two girls, that these two girls weren't responsible for whatever scheme she was imagining, Miss Miharu turned her attention to those waiting outside. Honoka was still watching us through the window. The concerned look on her face was enough to prove her innocence. Ignoring Saya, Miss Miharu fixed her gaze on the fashionable young city girl playing with
あ
Kotaro.
れか。
You got it wrong! Wait, what are you even talking about? She hadn't been paying attention earlier, and now she was creating a big misunderstanding.
っていうか、あの小娘。
Miss Miharu continued to stare intently at that girl.
大き星じゃないの。なんで連れてこないの？
She seemed a little offended. I guess I owed her an explanation. Don't you think it'd be a shock for her to see you like this? Hikari had been away for 4 years and hadn't seen how Miss Miharu had changed. In her mind, Miss Saotome was still that perfect, beautiful teacher who'd been a role model to all her students. If we had to shatter that illusion, springing it on her suddenly would be too cruel. We needed to ease into it gradually. That was partly why I asked Hikari to meet me after this whole ordeal, though she had shown up earlier anyway. If I had to use this excuse as to why I made her wait outside. Now I had to use this excuse as to why I made her wait outside. From the way our conversation with Miss Miharu had gone so far, I was confident I made the right choice.
別にいいと思うけど。昔と同じ綺麗な先生でしょうに。
Excuse me? You're completely different now! Just then. Wakana.
コタちゃん、ダメだよ、吠えちゃう。怖かった。いきなり猛犬をけしかけてくるなんて、やってくれるわね、天の川さや。コタちゃんって猛犬かな。かわいいよ、ほら。吠えた。コタちゃん、静かに。猛獣使いめ。
What kind of problem does she have with Saya?
そんなことより、ちょっとこっち来て。そこに立つ。そう、背伸びしちゃダメよ。絶対ダメよ。かかとを地面につけて。
Did you try to see if she's taller?
こうかな。見るがいい。こないだの身体測定で 1.5 センチも伸びてたコロナの実力を。あれ？待って。ほら、コロナの方が背高い。コロナちゃん、背伸びしてるよね。これに懲りたら、もうアキ兄にちょっかい出さないでよね。
Adorable. That's adorable.
そんなこと言われても。
Thwack.
こーら、さやをいじめるな。
何すんのよ、あんた。
相変わらずさやに絡んでんだね、あんたは。困った子だよ。
ピカリンだ。
その名前で呼ぶな。
Thwack.
この脳天チョップ、やっぱりピカリンだ。
そうだよ。ほうき星光、ハレー彗星のごとく華麗に舞い戻ってきたぜ。
本当にピカリンだ。おしゃれになってる。
そうだろう、そうだろう。
胸もでか
そうだろう、そうだろう。
おかえりピカリン。
呼び方は気に食わないけど、久しぶりだから多めに見てやろう。元気してたか、ちびすけ。
What the heck's going on out there? Apparently Corona had shown up and started making a racket. Must have been really excited to see Hikari again. Oh no, they're coming in. Hide! I hurriedly shoved Miss Miyaharu out of view behind some shelves. Hikari and Sayed followed Corona into the store. Hey Corona, what's up?
アキニ、またいっぱい人集めて天文クラブやるんでしょ。
How'd you know that? Did you hear it from your brother?
違う。みはるちゃんが教えてくれた。
I don't know.
早乙女先生いるの？
Hikari's reaction was instant, just what I'd expected.
ねえ先生、今何してるの？
What was she doing these days? Nothing. That was a tricky question. Our old school had long since been shut down and demolished to make way for the dam, but Hikari thought Miss Saotome was still teaching somewhere. Her eyes sparkled with complete and utter faith in her old teacher. Or if she had suspected that she'd quit teaching, she was probably imagining some amazing job worthy of the Miharu Saotome she remembered. Well, you see, I struggled to come up with an answer. Sir, Hikari sidled up to me and whispered into my ear.
ねえ、さっきからこっち見てる変な人がいるんだけど。
A weirdo?
信者かな。最近変な事件多いし、通報した方がよくない？
Oh, I don't know how to tell you that this, but that's the thing about Hikari's gaze. With two eyes watching us from behind the shelves. No, there's nothing shady about her.
そうなの？
Well, I can't deny that she's pretty suspicious looking, but it's not worth involving the police. In fact, we kinda owe her a lot.
みはるちゃん、やっほー。
In response to Corona's innocent greeting, the widow we knew as Miss Miyaru slipped out from her hiding place.
あれ、早乙女先生だったの？
Be disappointed!
やーやー、ほうき星、久しぶり。お久しぶりです。最初見たときわかんなかったわよ。見違えたね。はい。先生も、なんか変わりました？そうかな。昔からうちじゃこんなもんだけど。
Miyaru glanced idly at her beyond casual outfit as she spoke.
ねえ、アキト。この人本当に早乙女先生？
Well, you know how it is. Nothing lasts forever, not even the stars.
積もる話は後にしてもらって、まずは要件を。
Alright, we've gotten a little sidetracked. So, Miss Miyaru, do you think you can help us out with a
な
donation?
んで私が？
Well, you are a former member of the Six Stars Club. And, until today, I've never really talked to Miyaru about the Six Stars Club. I'd completely forgotten that she was a graduate of Oshino Daiichi and had been in the astronomy club just like me. The Six Stars Club was still active back then. It's for your darling ex-student, please, Miss Miharu.
お願いしますわ。お願いします。
Everyone looked at Miss Miharu expectantly.
あんたらニートの財布を軽く見てないかい？大人だからってお金持ってるわけじゃないんだからね。
ニート？
Exactly! But we can get a layabout to chip in. But if we can get a layabout to chip in, the other former members won't have any excuse.
こいつ作詞だ。
ねえ、ニートって何？どういうことなの？ね
She doesn't have a fucking job.
わかったわ。協力してあげる。
Miss Miharu became cooperative much faster than I'd expected. Then she opened the cash register.
で、いくら欲しいの？
Wait, you can't take it out of there! What if the manager?
何やってんだよあんた。
やば、見つかっ
The manager, our former teacher's mother, stepped out from the back of the
あ
store.
んたって子はろくに働きもしないで店のもの勝手に食べるだけじゃ飽き足らず、とうとうレジのお金に手をつけるとは。
た。かわいい後輩を助けるためなの。それにまだ手つけてないし。
ほらほら、言い訳はおよし、みっともないよ。ほんと私は情けないよ。こんなことなら無理にでも見合いさせてとっととうちから追い出しとくんだった。父ちゃんが甘やかしすぎたんだね。一人娘だからって可愛がりすぎたせいで。
Manager launched into one of her tirades. Watching an adult get scolded for misbehaving like a kid was an awkward sight. Just couldn't bear to watch it.
やめて母さん。教え子が見てるから。教育上良くないから。
But none of us were watching anymore. Everyone had taken out their phones and were checking the weather, horoscopes, and whatnot. It was probably kinda that way. Miss Miharu had been dragged away and I was watching the store. After about 50 minutes, she staggered brokenly back in.
あんたらのせいでひどい目にあったわ。
No, it was your own fault. No one asked you to steal from the
ジ
register.
ョークよジョーク。子供たちを笑わせてやろうとしてたら母さんが早とちりしちゃっただけよ。
She was fucking serious.
なんだ、ジョークでしたの。だよね。
We forced ourselves to laugh, more because we wanted to believe it more than anything. More because we wanted to believe it more than anything.
はいよ。
Miss Miharu handed me some money. A 500 yen coin.
何その顔。
Huh? No, every little bit helps, thank you.
足りないって顔ね。
No, that's not it. It had been so sudden, I guess my surprise had shown on my face. Miss Miharu thrust her hands into her pockets and brought out a handful of small change. 2 100 yen coins, 4 tens, a few fives, and a 1 and ones. Thanks.
感謝します。ねえ、これもジョークなのかしら。
Miss Miharu brought out her wallet.
やはりジョークだったのですわね。
Under everyone's intense stares, Miss Miharu's trembling hand took out some paper money. It had a picture of a guy with wavy hair. A 1,000 yen note! Wow, thank you so much! Everyone raised their voices in thanks. You really are helping us out, Miss Miharu. They are fuck. Jesus Christ. uh.
せいぜいいい貿易を作りなさいよね。この山賊ども。
This is scam. This is a scam. They're fucking scamming her. It's fucking Kiryu gonna come in and kick their asses and give the money back to Miharu. Miss Miharu tried to pet Kotaro, but he gave a flustered bark and ran outside. Whew! Looks like we're one step closer now. Parting with this money had been hard for Miss Miharu, but we couldn't let her sacrifice be in vain.
よかったのかしら。なんだか無理をさせてしまったようだったけれど。
Whoops, I can always pay her back later. Besides, Miss Miharu wasn't the one I was worried about. Hikari was no longer as bright and cheery as when she first arrived. She was shuffling at the back of the group, looking like a starved traveler who'd been wandering the desert for days.
そのせいなの。全部政治が悪いの。
She must have been in shock. What could I say to her at a time like this? Huh? Corona was running after
ねえ
us.
アキニ、コロナも天文クラブに混ぜてよ。
I don't know about that. Six Stars Club was made of members from 6 different high schools, but Corona was a year below us and didn't go to any of those schools yet.
来年アキニとこの学校に行くもん。そしたら天文部入る。
You're going to Daiichi? I thought your grades were good enough to get you into Seisen.
やだ、泥棒猫がいる学校行かないもん。
It said nothing about competition. Dorobo Neko is like thieving cat. She threw a glare in Saya's direction. For some reason, Corona always viewed Saya as her rival. Huh. I thought about how to answer.
もしかしてこの子が以前ひかりさんが話してた三日月天文クラブのメンバーなのかしら。
No, she wasn't.
そうですね。
Back then it was just me, Hikari, and Saya. I waved Saya over so I could introduce her properly. This is Saya, our third member.
天の川さやです。
She mumbled a quick introduction. Saya was just as nervous around new people as Kotaro. I guess she hadn't made much small talk with Noriko while she was waiting outside the store either. Saya goes to Seisen Girls' School. Orihime continued to gaze at Saya as if she hadn't heard a word I'd said.
綺麗な目をしてらっしゃるのね、さやさん。ありがとうございます。
Saya went bright red. She wasn't used to being complimented on her multicolored eyes. Now she couldn't stop blushing. There was something in the way Orihime spoke that made it clear her words weren't lies or empty flattery.
ではあなた方3人だけでしたの？
Orihime looked curiously at Corona.
コロナは1個下だから混ぜてもらえなかった。
Corona bit her lip and looked away shyly. We didn't mean to leave you out, it's just we spent a lot of time outdoors at night and early in the morning. Corona's mom was really strict and would never have allowed her to go out so late. Maybe if it had been a real club, she might have been allowed.
なら今度こそ混ぜてあげましょうよ。
What? But she's still...
方針を育てるのがムツラボシの会の重要な役割だわ。
Yes, so. You still interested, Corona? Corona turned to face Orihime, her face alight with gratitude and awe.
ありがとう。おっぱいの大きい超綺麗なお姉さん。
Beautiful busty angel, okay.
どういたしまして。
Make sure to get your parents' permission this time.
計画が一歩前進し、新しい仲間も増えて、今日はなんていい日なのかしら。これは記念日として末永く語り継ぐべきだわ。吉岡。はい、会長。
Honoka opened up her pocket calendar. We'd better not. We shouldn't force some weird tradition on future generations.
そうかしら。いいと思うんだけれど。
Orihime looked a little disappointed.
白鳥さん、吉岡さん、そろそろ行かないとお昼の上映時間に間に合いませんよ。
そうだったわ。
Are you guys going somewhere?
これから私たちプラネタリウムを見に行くの。
プラネタリウム？ハーバータウンにオープンしたんですよ。
Harbor Town was an outdoor mall on the side of the town that faced the coast. I had heard that it has a lot of stylish and expensive stores, but I'd never been there myself.
よかったらあなたも来る？
いいの？
You got some things to take care of, Corona, so you may as well tag along with them.
行く。
As for the three of us, we have to go collect something.
あれ？
What did we used to call it again?
エンシェントイビルアイ。
Yeah, that's right.
私に言わせるのやめてくれないかな。今のわざとだよね。
Saya started to sulk.
健闘を祈っているわ。よろしくお願いします。
Sure.
それじゃ、ほうき星さん、またね。はーい、のりちゃん先輩。
We saw the 4 girls off until they had caught their bus towards Harbour Town. With just me signed, Hikari left. An uneasy air settled over us. Hikari made an effort to break the silence. Maybe she never even noticed the awkwardness to start with.
さてと。それじゃあ私たちも行こっか。秘密の天文台へ。
We still in the now.
ニートってあれだよね。働けるのに働かない人のことだよね。
What is that absolutely adorable hat she's wearing? Why does it feel like because of that it looks like she should be wearing like one of those Russian hats. I don't know what they're called right now. Hold on. Was it that? It was not that! That was the wrong thing! That is Muslim. Not Russian. Why?
先生にもきっと事情があるんだよ。
We were heading towards our old secret observatory. That night... Same abandoned station where I was reunited with Hikari again. Back when we were kids, we used to make that place our secret base and played there all the time. That's where the Ancient One's evil eye was now. According to Hikari, that is. Saya wasn't officially part of the Six Stars Club, but I invited her all the same. Figured she'd want to see Hikari again. And besides, it wouldn't feel right going there unless it was the 3 of us. I guess I want to avoid being alone with Hikari too. Ever since I found out she's Komoko, I don't know how to act around her. I planned to meet Hikari after we asked Miss Miyato for a donation, but she just had to turn up early. It looked like she regretted it now, though.
元気出して、光。先生、あんなだけど、今でも時々優しいんだよ。ありがとう、さや。さやが変わってなかったことが私の救いだよ。
I watched Hikari as she and Saya walked ahead of me. I just couldn't work out what she was thinking. Why did she suddenly join the astronomy club? Why did she pretend to be some random office worker? And how did she know the person she was messaging was me? Perhaps because you called yourself Akito? Yeah, I guess the username Akito wasn't exactly hard to figure out. Well, seeing as I was the only person who to respond to that shoddy photo, it would have been weird if she hadn't at least suspected it was me. Now that I thought about it, when we first started talking, her messages did have some strange questions. Yes, she's been trying to work out if I was the same Akito she used to know. Hold on, does this mean that I had been actually complaining about Hikari right to her face? I took out my phone and looked at the message log from yesterday. This girl really irks me, though. Even when we were younger, she always acted without thinking. Not really interested in being involved with someone so reckless.
へえ、いいじゃない。運命の再会って感じでさ。あ、もしかして前に昔いろいろあったって言ってたの、その子のこと？
Something like that.
ほんで。口を割る気はないと、なかなか手強い。胸の谷間程度じゃ不足か。ねえ。あれどうだった？興奮した？
I did.
あきとくん素直。
Picked up my pace a little until I was closer to Hikari, still trying to act casual so she wouldn't notice. They're huge. Like really big. How did Hikari manage to grow so much so fast? Somehow they look even bigger in the picture, though. Was there some kind of trick photography? Was it some kind of trick photography? Is it really fitting clothing? Or it's really fitting clothing?
何が？
Oh, you know, any clothes. I had gotten a little carried away and blurted out my thoughts. Let's get going! It's gonna get dark! I strode ahead of the other two and took the lead. We made slow progress. I guess we're still getting used to being a group again after all those years. No one said a word, but I think we were kind of excited. The three of us, together again, going to the secret base where we'd spent so much of our childhood. Kicked down the door. I don't know why. I always, whenever I do, a joke, one of those joke scenarios, so often, for some reason, I say that someone kicks down a door. And I think that is because secretly, not really secretly, it's because, something I want to do at some point in my life is kick down a door. I really want to try kicking down a door. And I'm sad that we'll probably never ever get to experience that. I really wish I could. We stopped and stood for a moment. The Hoshino Dam was right in front of us. Kari stared at the expansive concrete dam up the river, a grave expression on her
あの
face.
橋はもうなくなっちゃったんだね。
Yeah, there used to be a bridge downstream. That was where we'd always meet up when we got together. It felt special to us. When we crossed that bridge, we felt the normal world left the normal world behind and entered the lonely wilderness of the mountains.
光はここ見るの初めてだよね。
It wasn't completed until after she'd moved away.
うん、こないだ通ったからその時見たよ。いやー、もうすっかり跡形もないね。
Kari looked out across the flooded valley. Somewhere at the bottom of this reservoir were the remains of the town where we'd grown up. Come on, let's go. No use standing around. We continued to walk alongside the dam.
さやは引っ越さずに済んだんだよね。うん、うちは村外れだったから。
Saya's house was nearer to the center of town and wasn't part of the land that got flooded.
アキトはどうしてるの？
Yeah, I had to move. I'd been living in my granddad's house, but that was all under this water now. I lived in one of the new apartment buildings until last year when Granddad died. Don't worry, he lived a good life. He was stubborn. He was a stubborn, cantankerous old man, but towards the end, he said something that made me see him differently. If you hadn't been here, I'd have had no one to take care of me. Thank you. It had come out of nowhere. I had always thought I was nothing but trouble to him. But when he told me that, I'd broken down into tears.
じゃあ今はどうしてるの？
I live at school.
そうなんだ。ん
Kari looked confused as she started to realize what I'd just said.
何？学校に住んでるって。
After Granddad died, I went back to live with some relatives for a while. But it didn't work out. They were the ones who sent me away to live with Granddad in the first place. So now I work part-time with Miss Miharu and sleep in the astronomy club room at my school.
なるほど。それで学校に。いやいや、全然納得できないけど。っていうか、住んでいいの？学校って。
Oh no!
ダメなんじゃないかな。
Yeah! Saya gave her a sighing sigh. That's why I'm in the astronomy club. My school was just way too laid back about security. But I didn't get the feeling I was going to be discovered and thrown out anytime soon. Those distant relatives were still my legal guardians. But even if they didn't necessarily love me, they still took me in and put a roof over my head. I was grateful to them, of course. How could I not be? But I always had this feeling that I was a burden on them. Like every mistake I'd ever made was something I'd never be able to make up for. Eventually, I couldn't stand staying with them any longer. That feeling had been slowly chipping away at my heart. I'd been feeling that way since my parents died, and I felt like if I didn't do anything about it, it would eventually drive me crazy. So I decided to cause my family little trouble as possible. I moved out and started earning money, planning to pay them back for everything. By the time Granddad was gone, I'd already decided to go to Hoshino Daiichi, and that was a bit of a commute from their place, so it just made sense.
なるほど。ね。
Kari didn't look too sure, but nodded all the same.
だから今は下宿先を探してるんだよね。へえ、一人暮らしするんだ。
I nodded vigorously. If I don't get out of there and live my own life soon, I'll end up having to marry Miss Miharu. I said it as a throwaway line, but the girl suddenly tensed up.
何それ。聞いてないそんなこと。
結婚ってどういうことよ。しかも相手が早乙女先生って。
Like, he just looks at Hikari. Just, who do you think is at fault for that? Who do you think told her mom that I like Miharu? Hmm? Riddle me that. The store manager seems to like me, and since I have no place to live, she said I might as well join the family.
なんでそうなるの？飛躍しすぎでしょうに。
In a way, though, this is your fault, Hikari.
え
The whole reason I'm in this mess is because you spread some rumor about Miss Saotome being my first crush!
だって本当のことでしょ。違うの？
They looked at me like I must have been mistaken. No, she wasn't. I should know, right?
ふーん。
The two of them walked ahead. I can tell they didn't believe me. It's the truth! I'm serious!
はいはい。さっさと行くよ。早くしないと暗くなっちゃうよね。
Ah, why do I even try? We passed the dam and carried on up the slope towards where we held our meeting yesterday. Are you getting tired, Saya?
平気。
She looked a little unsteady on her feet, though. We'd walked a pretty long way. Now we're on uneven ground. Glanced around for something to support her, but I couldn't find anything. Here, hold on. So I took the hand I held out to her. We linked arms and clumsily staggered up the slope. I can carry you if you want. You were about to say yes, weren't you? No need to be shy.
してないもん。変なこと言わないでよもう。
Saya thumped my arm and blushed bright red. A few feet away, Hikari watched us. A smile came to her lips. It may have been perfectly innocent, but knowing Hikari, it probably had some hidden meaning. What? You're creeping me out here.
安心したよ。さやとアキトが付き合ってて。
What? Confused, Saya and I looked at each other, then back at Hikari. We're not. Like, not together. What was she talking about?
別れちゃったの？そうは見えないんだけど。
We didn't break up. We were never going out to begin with.
どういうこと？
Hikari looked to Saya for an explanation. Saya seemed troubled but didn't say anything.
いや、どこからどう見ても付き合ってるでしょうがそれ。
What? Oh, you mean this? Sounded like she'd gotten the wrong idea about Saya clinging on to me. But we've always done this, right?
いや、
Hikari looked at me and Saya like we had a couple of screws loose. Did you want the other arm?
いい。
Why not?
さやが一瞬すっごい怖い顔して睨んでたから。
Really?
してないよそんな顔。おお、怖い。
Hikari gave an exaggerated shudder and bounded up the hill full of energy. I did remember somebody talking about like some scene that they was reading. I think it was Keigo, while in a call with Keigo, because he was playing like the fan disc with an auto translator, because he's trying to learn Japanese and decide, you know what, why the fuck not? And he basically talked about how he was surprised at how aggressive Saya was. So I'm kind of seeing that here already. But that may just be because of the fact that I know that something like that is happening already, apparently. Anyways,
もう光。
we walked on towards our secret observatory, continuing our conversation. After climbing a little further, we arrived at a line of trees. There was an animal trail leading through the small forest. Watch your step. Still holding on to me, Sarah took a furtive step
こ
forward.
こもあんま変わってないね。
Yeah. The forest floor didn't get much light, so there wasn't a lot of new grass, leaving our old dirt path to look more or less the same as it always had. Walking along that path, supporting Saya as I went, couldn't help but remember that day. The day the three of us had discovered our secret observatory.
昔裏山に隕石が落ちたんだって。学校終わったら探しに行こう。
Hikari had suddenly came up with that idea one afternoon. We had met up at the bridge after school and walked on into the mountains, just like we were doing now.
早く早く。待って、光。
Saya, take my hand! I went back to the child voice. That was instinctive. We didn't know. I don't know who she heard that story about the meteor from, but it didn't sound very likely to me. Even if it was true, we'd never find it. Then we didn't have an idea where to look.
大丈夫。磁石持ってきたから。隕石には磁石がくっつくんだって。
Actually, not all meteorites contain magnetic metals. But we didn't know that back then. We were just clueless little kids with all the time in the world. Especially Hikari, she never seemed to run out of energy.
暗いよ。お化け出ない。大丈夫。さやのことは私たちが守るから。
Yeah, we both will. Don't be scared. We were totally serious, and I think Saya could tell. Boop. Taking courage from what we'd said, Saya ran after Hikari, still holding on to my hand. Do your legs hurt?
そうちょっと
Whoops.
怖いなって思って。
Was it the darkness of the forest that scared her? Go on, Sai, you're not a little kid anymore. The old station wasn't too far beyond the forest. We all had so many special memories of that place. I wondered what it looked like now. From going there yesterday, I knew the train was still there, but it had been dark and I'd only been able to make out its silhouette. It's probably a mess now. When we saw it, would we get the same unpleasant feeling we got from looking at the dam? Maybe I was scared too, scared of seeing something that used to mean a lot to me now in ruins.
あ、出口だよ。
Kari pointed towards a gap in the trees where the sun was shining. She started jogging towards it. Nothing ever got that girl down. Hey, wait up! We matched Hikari's pace and followed her out of the forest. Sure enough, there was the abandoned station and its sole occupant. It was pretty run down and ragged, but then again, it hadn't exactly been new when we used to come here. Seeing it in the light of day, I'm sure we all thought the same thing. It's just the same as ever. It hasn't changed. It hadn't changed. There's really something special about this place. It's almost like the river of time just passes it by. For a while, we all just stood on the platform and took it all in, just like the first time. We had stood like this when we discovered this place while looking for meteorites. A station.
列車がある。でも誰もいないね。廃駅だよ。だってここの路線はもう今は使われてないはずだもん。
So they just left the train here? Kari ran along the platform.
開いてる。中入れるよ。
Wait a sec! My God, this must be awfully dusty. Oh, I can feel my allergies are acting up just watching this. There was only one door open at the end of the carriage. Sai and I followed Hikari up through that one open door.
綺麗なまんまだね。
Oh, it's still clean? What? Oh, probably because the doors were closed. The door at the back leading to the second car was also shut, so the interior of that car wasn't very messy at all. Dust is still a thing. All thoughts of the alleged meteorite disappeared from our heads in a flash. This had felt like the discovery of the century.
ここを私たちの秘密基地にしようよ。
Sai and I eagerly agreed to Hikari's suggestion. We felt like no one could have No one could have a better secret base than this. But I added a suggestion of my own. No wait, how about a secret observatory? After that, we cleaned up the inside of the car and brought in food, furniture, and a few pieces of junk that we considered treasures.
あの頃と
Oh, it really is still, like, furnished. That's nice. Is that a dog plush?
全然変わってないね。
Well, it wasn't clean. Well, it wasn't as clean, and it had gotten rustier. There were also a few more dead leaves and cobwebs than there used to be. But it has arrived. Our stuff was still there, too. It really hadn't changed as much as I thought it would have.
大きなタイムカプセルみたい。
We stepped outside and took another look at the train car's exterior. It was rusty and the paint was peeling in places. The windows were caked in dirt, but not yet broken. I can't believe it. The station was part of the line run by the railway company Kari's dad worked for. But before I even moved here, part of the track had been buried in a landslide. Rather than recover it, they just discontinued the line. The train car had been here during the landslide. Guess that's why they left it here to rust. Never found out for sure. Suppose it would take a lot of money and effort to move it. But no one would really mind it being left in a remote place like this. And so, we were the ones that had found this forgotten train. And we had made it our secret observatory. This train is the Milky Way Railroad Observatory, headed for the sky. Though we three have conquered the solar system, our journey is not yet over.
あったよ、秋田。
Hikari peeked out through the door.
ほら、これ。なんだっけ。エンシェント・イビル・アイ。そう、それ。恥ずかしいからって私に言わせるのやめてよね。
This piece of junk known as the Ancient One's Evil Eye was enshrined at the back of the car. It was just a thick piece of colorless glass. It had a round shape and its surface was covered in concentric circles that spread out like ripples in water. That's what made it look like an eye. Back when we were in 6th grade, it was decided that our school was going to be shut down at the end of the year. They had been demolishing the older school buildings ahead of time. That's where this old decoration came from. We always thought it was creepy when we were little, so we decided to give it a creepy name, the Ancient One's Evil Eye. And we tried to make a Dobsonian telescope before and asked Miss Automa if we could use this for the telescope's objective mirror. John Dobson had used glass from ship potholes in the telescopes that were later named after him. So I thought we could do something similar. Plus, it felt like the Ancient One's Evil Eye must have some kind of amazing power slumbering within it. In the end, though, it didn't work out. Our telescope was never completed. Maybe it was too ambitious of a project for us while we were still that young. Now, all we had left was this piece of glass. I never knew we hadn't thrown it away, but I couldn't remember. I knew we hadn't thrown it away, but I couldn't remember what happened to it.
なんでも宝物見つけたって言って拾ってくる光のおかげだね。人をカラスか何かみたいに言わないでくれるかな。
You did. That does sound like a crow, though. This old train really was a time capsule. I can't carry this all the way home. Let's come back tomorrow with a wheelbarrow or something. How did it even manage to move this around before? This little mystery stayed hanging in the air, but satisfied that the glass was still here, I turned to leave.
どこ行くの？
Home? Hikari looked confused. It's not like there's any point in sticking around.
でもせっかく来たんだしさ。ねえ、さや。
Saya watched me, trying to call me back. Sorry, I have to head to work, said curtly and left the two girls behind. We are still in the now. Thank you, please come back. I had finally finished serving the last customer and heaved a sigh of relief. The store was pretty busy this time of day when lots of people were headed home from work. Once we dealt with them, though, we had some time to breathe before the next train of commuters arrived. The sun had long since set and it was dark out. Wonder if they were still there. Looked at my phone, but had no new messages. Yukari had come here by train. Jeez, at least drop in on your way back. Well, after I'd left them both behind like that, I couldn't blame Yukari if she'd gone home without saying anything to me. What's she thinking? I became irritated just thinking about Yukari's actions over the last few days. Still couldn't work out why she joined the astronomy club.
スマイルスマイル。外からも見えてるわよ。
Miss Miyoru appeared from the back room. It was true that when it was this dark outside, you could see the inside of the store clearly. Even if I couldn't smile, I could at least try not to look irritated. Thank you for the day.
ああ、カンパね。
There aren't all that many people I can count on. You really helped me out.
見え張って最後の紙のお金出しちゃったからすっからかんよ。明日にでも母さんに泣きつかないとだわ。
You could search for a job. Really? Was it really safe to ask for money after getting chewed out earlier that same day? Which means that really was all the money she had? I'm really, really sorry.
いいのよ。あのくらい。
Shrugging off her mom's lecture was something she was used to. Miss Miyaru went to open the warm pork bun case, but stopped. Go on, take one. My treat. Oh, look at that, adorable. Maybe she felt a little weird about being treated by a former student because Miss Miyaru blushed a little when she nodded. I rang the purchase and pulled out my wallet to pay. Here's some coffee, too. I poured out a cup of coffee. I already knew how Miss Miyaru liked it. Lots of milk and sugar.
ドブソニア、楽しみだわ。
You could come see it when it's done. When we're done.
こっちたら全財産投資したんだからね。
Miss Miyaru grumbled as she took the coffee. Most of the Six Stars Club's activities are going to be held out in the mountains, I think. You should join us for some stargazing. You don't get many chances to watch the stars these days, right? I knew better than anyone that Miss Miyaru didn't have the money for proper stargazing equipment. She wasn't just avoiding it like me.
そんな心配までしてくれなくていいんだよ。
But
あんたたちのためにできることがあるなら、なんだってやるわよ。
Miss Miyaru bit into her steaming pork bun. I could tell if she was being sincere or just joking around, or just kidding around.
昼間のあれ、本当にあのほうき星なんだね。
Sure is. I was still coming to grips with it. Miss Miyaru decided not to go over to the cafe area, but stay at the counter, silently eating her bun. Really like these pork buns, huh?
ちっちゃい頃から食べてるからね。私にとっちゃソウルフードみたいなもんよ。
If Miss Miyaru had been a kid once, obviously she had, but it was hard to imagine. She was already an adult when I first met her. It was easy to think she'd always been like that. Back when we were kids, these pork buns were a luxury item. Whenever we had some extra allowance, or were really craving them, we'd all pitch in and buy one together. Miss Miyaru finished off the last of her bun and washed it down with some coffee. When she was done, she took a deep breath. She took a notebook out of her bag and laid it on the counter. What's this? The front cover was being held together with tape. I felt I'd seen this old book before. Wait, this is...
あんたたちの惑星観測ノートだよ。
Our planetary observation journal. That's right. Hikari, Saya, and I wrote this together. But you still have it, though. And what's with the
さ
tape?
やがね、持ってきたんだよ。泣きながら。 どうしたの天の川さん。何このノート。こんなに破れてしまって。
冬休みの自由研究のノート。ひかりちゃんとあっくんと私のそうでください。
ノートがどうしてそうなっちゃったのか、なんで泣いてるのか、聞いても教えてくれなかったわ。
It used this journal to record our observations over 1 year. We're going to submit it as our 6th grade independent study project. So Saya handed it in, huh? She must have been the one who taped it too.
ねえ、あんたが星を見なくなっちゃったのと、そのノートが破れてるのって、やっぱ関係あるの？
Yes. I nodded. There was no use in hiding it. Miss Miura sighed, but didn't ask anymore. I silently stared at the notebook. Even the torn pages inside had been mended. When I imagined Saya fixing this all by herself, I felt the pain in my chest.
また見たらいいじゃん。星、あんなに好きだったんだからさ。っていうか、今でも好きでしょ？じゃなきゃ、ロブソニアン作ろうなんて思いつかないよ。
That was Hikari's idea.
同じことだよ。そのアイディアに、ああやって乗っかったんだから。
Miura was right. I still loved the stars. They were so beautiful, I could watch them all night. But that's exactly why I didn't. They meant too much to me. It would just hurt all the more. Why did you quit being a teacher? The question made me sound like a sulky child.
学校がなくなっちゃったからね。
Could have gone to another school. That's what the other teachers did. I didn't take it as hard as Hikari did today, but you still surprised me. I'd wanted Miss Miyaru to stay the perfect teacher we'd always knew. Maybe it was selfish to push my own expectations onto her, but it's not like that was such a bad thing. We'd always loved and admired Miss Saotome. It wasn't unreasonable to want to always feel that way about our favorite teacher. Miss Miyaru's face took on a serious expression.
私も続けられるならそうしたかった。でもできなかったのよ。
Why not?
10円ハゲができてたの。
Huh? Miss Miyaru went from looking serious to downright depressed.
あんたたちのキラキラした瞳にさらされてると、いつ自分の本性を見透かされるだろうって毎日不安でビクビクしてたもん。
Oh.
モンスターペアレントは学校に怒鳴り込んでくるし、偉い人は無茶ぶりばっかしてくるし、教師がなんかやらかしたら即不祥事扱いだし。気がついたら円形脱毛症になってたの。ほら、ここらへん。
Miss Miyaru lifted up her hair and at the back of her head. Miss Miyaru lifted up her hair at the back of her head. She didn't have any bald patches, but in places her hair was shorter, where it had only recently started to grow back. I didn't know what to say. I had no idea. She had a way more serious reason for quitting than I'd imagined. I always thought it was because she hated getting up in the mornings, or just didn't want to work anymore. I guess that means we were part of the reason why Miss Miyaru started losing her hair. She'd always been kind of mischievous, but I never thought we'd cause our teacher this much trouble. I am really, really sorry. Miss Miyaru put her hands in her pockets and stared absent-mindedly out the window.
私、向いてなかったのよ。先生って仕事。これでも一応、希望を持って選んだ職業だったんだけどね。
Couldn't stand to hear her put herself down. That's not true! Forgetting that I was on the job, I raised my voice. You were a great teacher back then.
あの頃はって。
You're no longer a teacher. We all looked up to you so much. Even Takeichi tried to behave around you. What about Saya? She decided to go to Seisen because she wanted to be a great teacher like you.
あの子、そんなこと言ってるの？
That was the amazing thing about Saya. Even when she saw Miru, as she was now, she never gave up on her dream. That girl looked delicate, but her heart was strong.
なんかプレッシャーね。
Miss Miru nervously fiddled with her hair. Besides, you weren't just a teacher. You taught us all how fun watching the stars could be. That night, when you showed us Winter Alberio, That was what had started it all. On a freezing winter night, Miss Miru had shown us the blue and orange double star shining in the night sky. If she hadn't done that, we know it would have given astronomy a second thought. Hikari and I probably would have gone back to being just classmates, and I might not have made friends with Saya either. Miss Miru just stared at me. I guess it had been a shock to hear me come out with all this. Then she gave a bittersweet smile.
でも、その教え子は星を見るのをやめちゃったわ。
Those words were like a knife in my heart. I felt the stabbing sensation even. Walked up the gentle slope, a bag slung over my shoulders. There weren't any streetlights out here, so I had to use this flashlight to find my way. At work, I made the decision to come back. It was only November, but the nights were getting colder. It was too cold now to wear light clothes out. I pulled the zipper of my parka up a little further against the night air and walked on. None of you watch the stars anymore, though. I stopped for a moment and looked up. Out there, the night sky completely filled my view. I stared up at the quiet autumn night sky, connecting a few constellations. Even from so far away, their light still reaches us. I mumbled to no one in particular and started walking again. After leaving the forest path, I found myself at the old station, now as quiet as a grave. Usually I'd have gone home by now. Why did I come back here without calling ahead? Knowing those two, they're probably still here. They are probably still here. As I tried to convince myself, I heard the muffled sounds of a conversation inside the train car. I could make out Saya's voice. She was talking to Hikari about something.
アキト君のことが時々心配になるの。
Were they talking about me? I paused outside the door and held my breath.
大丈夫でしょ。なんとかなるって。先生のお母さんにも気に入られてるんでしょ。まあ、結婚はやりすぎだと思うけど。そうじゃないの。このままだとアキト君、山の人になっちゃうんじゃないかって。
Mountain guy? A mountain guy? Did she mean a mountaineer?
この前テレビにね、山にこもって忍者の修行をしてるおじさんが出てたの。ああ、知ってる。見た。森の中で一人で手裏剣とか鎖鎌の練習してたおじさんだ。それを見てて思ったの。アキト君もああなっちゃうんじゃないかって。
What?
私、ひげもじゃでお風呂にも入らなくなったアキト君に腕に届けるのかなって。
Saya, I didn't realize you were worried about me like that.
アキト
I'm sorry for making you worry, I really am, I said apologetically. The image of Saya coming all the way out here to bring soup to a wild, shaggy mountain man had really touched me. But you don't have to worry, I don't plan on becoming a ninja. Saya nodded, still not totally convinced. Did she have that little faith in me? I guess I couldn't blame her after everything I'd done.
何しに戻ってきたの？
Hikari spoke irritably. She probably didn't enjoy my previous exit. Well, I figured you two would still be here, and I thought it would be just like you two to decide to stay here overnight without actually preparing anything. Saya and Hikari shared an uneasy glance. Looks like I was right on the mark. Thwump. I dropped my mountain climbing backpack that I'd brought with me onto the floor. After work, I'd stopped by the clubroom to collect it. I brought blankets and sleeping bags and extra layers. Also, provisions. Their eyes lit up when they saw the mountain of snacks tumble out of my bag from the convenience store.
実はお腹空いててどうしようかって話してたんだよね。
It's only going to get colder from now on. You'd really be in trouble if you stayed out here with no food and no way to keep warm. Didn't these two ever plan ahead? In that respect, they hadn't changed at all. Saya had come a long way, but she still had her blind spots. I started to get dinner ready, grumbling all the while. I set up my portable stove and poured some bottled water into a pot. What'll it be?
カップ麺きたー。私チリトマト。シーフードがいい。
We waited for the water to boil, then poured it into our noodle cups. Even sitting still for those 3 minutes was too much for the girls. They kept fidgeting and checking their watches.
3分経った。いただきます。いただきます。
You must have been pretty hungry to enjoy such a simple meal so much.
こういうところで食べるカップ麺ってなんでこんなに美味しいんだろうね。わかる。すごく温まる。
Help yourself to rice balls too. And this bag of potato chips is from Miss Miharu. Miss Miharu had managed to scrape together enough pocket change to contribute to our food for the night. The delicate young maidens before me wolfed down the feast of carbs and fats like a couple of bears getting ready to hibernate. I had to admit I was getting hungry too, and soon yielded to temptation and joined them. After we'd calmed our raging appetites a little, I took the notebook out of my bag and showed it to the others.
何？
Maybe it was too dark to see it properly. I shined my flashlight onto the threadbare old book. Miss Miero gave it to me.
なんで先生が？
I looked over at Saya. Her eyes were downcast. Apparently Saya handed it
テ
in.
ープで直してある。これもサヤがやってくれたの？
Saya nodded
そう
silently.
だったんだ。
Gotti carefully picked up the notebook and opened it. It was full of the notes we'd made on the stars and planets throughout that year, along with illustrations drawn in colored pencils. Every day was torn like... Every place it was torn felt like a flesh wound in my heart. Gotti seemed to feel the same.
ごめん、サヤ。本当にごめん。
I'm sorry too, Saya. Put both our hands together and begged for forgiveness. Saya just shook her head.
二人とあっくんに喧嘩してほしくなかったの。仲直りしてほしかったから。
Gotti and I shared an awkward look.
もう喧嘩なんてしてないよ。ね、アキト。
Yeah, we're friends again, just like old times. We put our arms around each other and forced ourselves to smile. Saya stared at us, then giggled. Gotti was enchanted by her innocent smile.
ありがとう、サヤ。やっぱあんたが大好きだ。
Gotti bounded forward and hugged her old friend.
こぼれるよ。
Thanks, Saya. Saya's kindness was enough to melt the bitter feelings I'd buried away deep inside. Before we knew it, we were all laughing, our hearts lighter now.
美味しかった。ごちそうさま。
Gotti was first to finish. She drained her cup to the bottom and slammed it down on the floor. I'm done too. I tossed my disposable chopsticks into the empty cup. Saya began to hurry through her meal.
慌てなくていいって。
You'll end up choking at that speed. Oh, I'm itchy. Like right there, like right there. I'm itchy. It's really fucking annoying.
あったまったね。ありがとね、アキト。ありがとう、アキトくん。
You're welcome. A little thing like that, this was nothing. It's getting cold, I'll get the blankets. As the night wore on, the temperature was steadily dropping. Figured it would be best to wrap up while we still felt warm. While I got things ready, Hikari went to the window. She looked out into the night, deep in thought. Maybe she was wondering if she could still make it in time for the last train home.
それよりさ、お風呂入ろうよ。
What? What?
お風呂？ほら、あったじゃん。小さい露天風呂。
Open air baths? That's right! Across the mountain was a thriving hot springs area, but a few natural hot springs were dotted around this site too. There was an old man that lived up here and had one all to himself, so we'd asked him if we could use it at any chance we got. The old man left years ago though, I bet no one lives there anymore. The train line was abandoned, and driving out here would be a real hassle. But thanks to the dam, the town at the foot of the mountain was gone. I was pretty sure that everyone had moved away by now.
行ってみようよ。温泉は残ってるかも。
Yep, just as impulsive as always, Hikari. Admittedly, I was curious about whether it was still there too. Please tell me I don't have to censor anything here.
あったよ。露天風呂。温泉だ。
Can't believe it's still here. The open air bath sat where it had always been, in a small clearing in the woods. The surrounding rocks, wet from steam, radiated heat throughout the clearing and blanketed the area in a comforting warmth. We all paused to soak up the heat and warm our bodies that were still chilled from the walk.
あったかい。生き返るよ。本当だね。
Is he gonna try to peek in order to check? Wait, does that really hurt chest? Wait, hold on, I can make that better. Like, he's gonna peek, like, is that really her chest? Let me check. Also, I got an email. New animated dice sets from D&D Beyond team. Huh. Intriguing. What is that thumbnail? Oh, it's somebody pouring drinks. In Fable 2. Because it's RT game. Anyways, I know. Wait, that's Saya. I don't see any signs of it being used recently. I scooped up some water with my hand. The temperature's perfect. So how should we do this?
そりゃ入るっしょ。
I know that, but I mean, who goes first?
いいじゃん。一緒に入っちゃおうよ。昔みたいにさ。
What? You really haven't changed at all! Although she did look quite a bit more mature.
なーによ。あんたが恥ずかしがることじゃないでしょ。恥じらわなきゃいけないのは裏若き乙女の私たちなんだから。
All I could do was pray that she wasn't kidding about them dying of embarrassment.
それとも私らが入ってる間寒い森の中で一人で待ってる？言っとくけど覗いたらそこの岩の上でパイルドライバーだからね。
Sounded like an actual death sentence. Still, I wasn't going to try and make sense of Standards that said peeking was a problem, but bathing together wasn't. Saya was staring at me as if she wanted to say something. She was probably thinking that she didn't want me to be in there with her. That's what a rational person would think. Well, it's cold, so I guess I'll get in with you. It's dark too, so I can't really see anything.
そうこなくっちゃ。
Now you two head over there, so I can get undressed and get in.
はーい。なんでそうなるの？
No peeking, alright? Could at least say something! Jeez, are you guys even serious about this whole thing? I stripped down and unconcerned, then folded my clothes and placed them on top of a dry rock. Then I dipped a toe into the steaming spring very cautiously. Ah, nice. It felt perfect. I slipped into the water slowly, letting myself adjust to the heat.
ねえ、まだ？
Yeah, I'm in!
湯加減どう？
It's perfect! Seemed like Saya wasn't at all comfortable about bathing with a man, but she also couldn't resist the temptation of the hot spring.
じゃあ 私らも入るからあっち向いてて。
Yeah, sure.
ちらっとでも振り返ったら
My guess was that she would have gouged my eyes out before holding me underwater and stomping all over me.
サヤが泣くわよ。
Saya met my gaze with her eyes that seemed to plead for something. It was serious, she really would cry. I turned my back to them without saying a word. I sank into the water up to my shoulders as I waited and eventually heard the fluttering sounds of clothing being removed behind me. For whatever reason, the sounds of those two undressing excited me a little bit. Knowing that I shouldn't look, but I could if I wanted, made the situation that much more intense. Maybe if I did look, but maybe if I did look back, I could have passed it off as a joke? No. No, Hikari's reaction excited Saya would really cry. Hikari wouldn't take it as a joke. Saya cried, so I was certain to end up at the bottom of that spring. I put the temptation out of my mind and kept on waiting.
今ね、私たち下着だけだよ。おっと、今サヤがブラのホックを外しました。肩紐を外し、
You're
そ
mean.
しておお、これは
You are a mean bitch, Hikari.
もうやめてよヒカリ。
サヤのブラ可愛いね。どこのやつ？
そう、お母さんが買ってきてくれたのだから。寒いから早く脱いで入っちゃおうよ。
ためらいなくパンティーを脱ぎ捨てた。サヤったら大胆。アキトが今にも振り返るかもしれないよ、サヤ。
The collarbone isn't quite low enough for it to actually be her chest, I think. I could feel Saya staring a hole into the back of my head.
アキトくんはそんなことしないよ。
聞きましたか、アキト選手。
Of course I wouldn't. I respect the spirit of fair
じ
play.
ゃなくて、今のはアキトくんになら見られたってまあいいしくらいのニュアンスだったよ。
は
もう変なこと言わないで。
Whatever, just get in already. All the seed is going to my head.
はーい。よいしょっと。
At some point, Hikari quickly slipped out of her panties as well, and I heard footsteps approaching. Then there was a splash of water behind me.
でも気持ちいい。
Saya let out a blissful sigh. Small ripples landed against me as I heard those two settling into the
も
water.
ういいよ。
Oh, okay. Okay, it's okay. Just barely. Just barely. Am I sure this is okay? Turn around slowly to find a miraculous scene unfolding before my eyes. Two girls my age bathing in the nude. I don't feel secure with that, actually, so I'm just gonna go ahead and, where's censorship? There's censorship. All the way to the top, please. I'm still under my webcam, though. Where the fuck is the censorship? Timestamps, there we go. Turn that on. Jesus Christ, that's a bit big. Like, fuck. Sky full of stars. There we go, now we move it around here, I guess? And now we... Fuck, I can't... Hold on. Get it here. Let's make it a bit slimmer. And... There we go. Better safe than sorry, I guess. I turned around slowly. To find a miraculous scene unfold. I already read that.
気持ちいい。
Although Hikari was fully relaxed from the onset, Saya looked like she was on edge due to my presence.
生き返る。光、腕上げると見えちゃうよ。
Saya hurried to shield Hikari from view when she stretched and her chest almost left the water. Damn, why did she have to do that? The water was the perfect temperature, not at all lukewarm, yet not too hot. As the heat replaced the chill of her in her body, Saya began to relax. She was really enjoying our hot spring bath.
来てよかったね。でしょうに。
Actually, now I can see that being her cleavage. Hikari said this eagerly, almost as if she were responsible for the pleasant feel of the hot spring water. I was so thoroughly relaxed by the water that I even forgot to tease her for that.
さやのお肌白くてすべすべだね。いいな。
You know what, fuck it. Let's keep it there.
光くすぐったいよ。
I feel like it's excusable because it's not really that visible.
ここか。ここがええのんか。
Let's just move that out of the way for now. It's off to the side.
もうやめてったら。
Hikari and Saya began playing like a couple of friendly puppies.
光だってすべすべだよ。
You know what, fuck it, I'll just keep it here.
そうかな。こことか。どうした？ちょっとびっくりしただけ。すごく柔らかいんだね。それに重かった。え？ああ。
It seemed that Saya had somehow brushed up against the parts of Hikari that had matured the most.
触ってみる？え？いいの？うん、いいよ。やらしい触り方しないならね。しないよ、そんなこと。
Saya touched Hikari's breasts beneath the waterline.
ぽよんぽよんだ。揺らすと波が立つよ。ひひひ、どうだ？光ばっかりずるい。
Saya muttered sulkily, her gaze falling beneath the water to her own chest. Maybe they were a bit too relaxed. Had they forgotten that I was there? Are they really that soft? Still, you know, I'm not too worried about. This may sound bad, but I'm not too worried about Saya here. Like, I'm not too worried about Saya. However, Hikari though. Still hunched over, I cast a casual sidelong glance towards Hikari to observe the situation. It was too dark to be sure, but I could see something floating, and even caught a faint glimpse of cleavage above the waterline. I didn't notice anything similar from Saya.
何見てんの？
Nothing really, it's dark and steamy, so I can't see anything.
恥ずかしがることないよ。男の子だもんね。
She folded her arms and nodded, her face saying that she fully understood. Beside her, Saya covered her chest and sank into the water up to her shoulders. Are you sure you're not the one incapable of shame? That conversation you just had was pretty bold.
あるよ、失礼な。でも、アキトとこうやってお風呂入るの初めてじゃないし。
But we were kids back then. It was more than 4 years ago. Would have been a fairly major problem in a girl her age if her sense of shame hadn't developed at all since then. Actually, I had been pretty embarrassed by the whole thing at the time. I remembered how Hikari had pushed us all into getting in together. And I remembered how I had seen Saya nude and how she had cried. Hikari approached me, the expression on her face saying she had something in her mind.
ね。
Yes? It definitely sent a jolt through me as she pressed up against me in her usual way, only naked.
こないだ送った写真あったじゃん。谷間のやつ。
Cleavage? I knew which picture she meant. Yeah?
あれ、私んじゃないからね。
Huh? I forgot all my caution and grunted out a partial question in my
う
confusion.
ちのお父さんのだよ。
Oh! Your dad's! Thought about Hikari's father. He was a big man that had a beard. Fair-skinned, chubby guy who wouldn't seem out of place standing alongside Santa Claus. Me and your dad. Like the one that I know.
うん。お風呂上がりにパンツ一丁で歩いてるから、罰として脱中のポーズ取ってもらったの。
Ah!
そうしたらあれよ、見事な谷間なもんだから、記念に取っといたのよ。はあ、騙されちゃってた。
For me, that was way worse to travel over that adolescent's boys and his defections!
冗談のつもりだったのよ。笑わせようと思って送ったら、 あんな素直な反応来ちゃって、本当のこと言いそびれちゃったの。
You little... Clenched a fist underwater, and my body shook with anger.
もしかして、あの写真見ながら、一人でエッチなこととかしちゃった。
What?
するんでしょ、男子って。
Got is set with an oh crap expression on her face. I did not! Did he just stand up?
よかった。してたらどうしようって思ってたよ。
I didn't. I hadn't, but... And I was glad that I hadn't from the bottom of my heart, but... Truth was... I had been excited every time I looked at it. She really was a she-devil. Just tell Take. Tell Take. Just fuck Take up. Just scar him for life. Just tell Takeichi, oh yeah, the cleavage, Hikari's dad. Just to absolutely mess with the fucker. Or just forward him to him, wait for him to jack off to it. Oh, that would be a bit too mean. That would be a bit too mean-spirited. This is between us, forget about it! Gotta return to Saya's side and whisper to her.
後で教えてあげるね。
Don't tell her no matter what! Saya cocked her head to the side cutely, then stared at Hikari and me.
二人だけ。ほら、さやが拗ねちゃったじゃん。
This is your fault!
まあ、平たく言うと、アキトが私のおっぱいを見たがってたって話。
Titties. Hold on, it's not like that. Don't look at me like that. I don't know why I just absolutely fucked up everything. I wondered if there was anything nearby that I could gag Hikari with to shut her up for a while without hurting her. I give up, say whatever you want. I turned my back to the two of them and fell silent. If I handled it wrong, the two of them would have teased me even more. Hikari kept her gaze fixed on my back, observing me.
ちょっと聞いてもいい？
What is it?
もしかして今、勃起してたりする。
Why the fuck did I get an achievement called Moon? What is it for? Watched 20% of the cutscenes. Huh. We're already 20% done with the game. Huh. Also, 19.2 players have got this achievement. What?!
ねえ、さや知ってる？男子ってエッチなこと考えて興奮すると勃起するんだって。
I think that they would have learned that around the time you knew him, or you first met already. Like, that was 5th graders. Like, I don't know about y'all's, but I learned about that shit in 5th grade. Now they learn about that shit even earlier, apparently. Hell, they apparently learn how to put on condoms now. That wasn't in my time. My god, I sound old. Jesus Christ. No wonder people call me a boomer in the Discord server. Anyways,
そうなんだ。男の子の部分あるじゃない？あるじゃないって言われても。あれが大きくなるんだって。すごいよね。人体の神秘だよね。そうだね。神秘だね。っていうか何言ってるの光、バカなの？見てみたいな。なんて。
she was insane. She really was genuinely insane. It's like she hadn't grown up at all since we were kids! You know I'm not showing you.
おやおやってことは、勃起してるのは認めるんだな、このスケベ。
Saya turned away, her face communicating that she wanted nothing to do with this.
どうなんだね、アキトくん。
Hikari closed in, pressing against me. She seemed like she hadn't noticed, but the top of her breast had come out of the water to say hello. It was a delicate situation. I'll admit it. I am. But there's no way to avoid it in this situation! Might have been able to keep control of things if we had just been taking a dip in the hot springs together. But there's no way any healthy adolescent boy could have held things back with that kind of revealing conversation going on before his eyes. No!
なんで？ 減るもんじゃなし。
I will too! This is an extinction event for my dignity as a human being! What was she even asking her for?
幼馴染なんだし、恥ずかしがることないって。ねえ、さや。
知らない。
Then you show me too.
はい？バカ言っちゃいけないよ。女の子にそんな見せろだなんて。
There's no difference between men and women when it comes to embarrassment!
私はアキトの勃起が見たいのであって、別にやらしい気持ちがあるわけじゃないのに。
She probably didn't really know what it meant, but hearing a girl say worked up over and over like that, if I were her dad, I would have been weeping.
ねえ、さやは見たくない？
Saya jerked where she sat in the water. She probably hadn't imagined that the conversation would come to this.
見たいでしょ？だって大きくなるんだよ。こんなこと頼めるのアキトくらいだし。でね。
Hikari whispered something in Saya's ear. On hearing Hikari's comment, Saya cried out. She then turned bright red and her eyes opened wide. She continued looking at me for a while, then averted her eyes downward and seemed to gradually wilt on the spot. What on earth did she say?
交換条件として、私とさやのおっぱいを見せてあげるってのはどうかと。
That was an unexpected development. My face began to smile reflexively, but I fought off the
2
impulse.
対1だし、それなら条件として釣り合うじゃない？
I had no idea how that was a good trade, but it did feel like one emotionally. But, well then, we'll all be embarrassed that way. No matter what I answered, Saya was going to refuse anyway. There was no way Saya would accept such crazy terms. She was the one in charge of having common sense in the Mikazuki Astronomy
ほ
Club.
らさや見たいって。さやのちっぱい。
見たいの？
Saya asked, looking up at me through her eyelashes as she faced the water. What? She had to ask that? But, well, you know, if I said I didn't, I'd be lying. She hung her head even further until her neck was bent at an almost 90-degree angle. Her face was in the water. Was she alright? Hikari, don't try to make Saya do anything stupid. She's not like you. She has common sense.
そうか。ごめんよさや。アキトの勃起見るのはまた別の機会にするよ。
いいよ。
え？
アキトくんが見たいんだったらちょっとくらいなら。
What? What? Saya, you haven't lost your mind, have you? As she looked up from the water, Saya's eyes burned with a striking resolve. Her expression was deadly serious.
商談成立。
は？
じゃあ行くよさや。せーの。
Hold on, I didn't say it, was it? I really went for it. And this is something I have to censor even less than earlier because they are literally just shining white. I'm still gonna leave this here though, so you know, just spurring on your imaginations, if you know what I'm saying. I'm nice. I'm just kidding. Anyways, I'm just being, better safe than sorry. Two rose to their knees in the water, then moved their hands aside. Oh, now I need to censor it, by God! Wow! Peering through the thin veil of vapor over the health spring, my eyes beheld them. Actual breasts! Kari drew my eyes first. They were massive. And the one thing I was worried about, maybe possibly having to censor, is covered by this little edge of the goddamn webcam. They swayed and bobbed, still shaking from the motion of her lifting herself out of the water. Although it is a bit of a tiresome expression, their weighty movements reminded me of a flesh pudding. I mean, I guess I have a title for the part now, Flesh Pudding. They were full and round breasts. Still gay, but they still gave off a sense of firmness. But I still couldn't see everything I wanted. Steam billowing up from the water was too thick, and it hid the full view from me. Even so, I could see enough to know that they were real breasts, and they were magnificent. Again, I should be relatively safe. On the other hand, Saya's were small, or rather modest in size. Unlike Hikari's, they barely shook when she rose, but they were still incredible! Droplets of water traced seductive paths down her gentle curves over her pale, translucent skin. She had a beautiful, ever so slightly youthful flat chest. She had a beautiful, ever so slightly youthful flat chest instead of full breasts. She isn't flat, though! She's not flat! I would not call this flat! She even had that youthful swell of her chest. And even that youthful swell of her chest was faintly seductive and actually made me see her as a woman even more. It was a pity that I still couldn't see everything through the thick steam. These cute breasts were perfectly suited to Saya, a beautiful and adorably embarrassed young I almost said lady. Woman. I mean, lady would also fit there.
どうよ。
Like he's just still sitting in the hot spring. Those are amazing boobs. I had never thought of seeing breasts as a goal in life. By that instant, I felt that I could die without regrets. If only it would clear just a little bit, I could get a good long look at those beautiful breasts, and my life would be complete. Come on, I gotta get a little bit of wind here to clear my view.
はい、おしまい。
They sank down into the water to their shoulders at Hikari's heartless declaration, hiding those stunning breasts.
恥ずかしかった。もう死んじゃいそうだよ。
Like it's like they're of course gonna say like it's his turn. There's either that, and honest to God, I feel like he's either going to find a way to chicken out, or the way funnier option, just yes, gaze upon it. I don't know why I just decided to do that. I shouldn't have really. I don't know why I just decided to pull this out. God fucking damn it! I don't know what I'm doing. So Hikari was embarrassed too, after all. But even as that thought passed my mind, their embarrassment at showing me their breasts left me even more excited than before. Oh no, there's only one thing to do now. I'd been hoping that I'd get things back to normal downstairs and dodge the issue by giving them a peek at me while I wasn't excited. But instead of things at this point were more ferocious than I had ever experienced in my brief lifetime.
さあ、次はアキトの番だよ。
I understood Hikari, but why did Saya have a look of anticipation in her eyes? I guess that girls really were curious about these things in her own way. Alright, I answered graciously, then took a deep breath. Under the circumstances, I had to show them. But these were friends I had done all kinds of stupid stuff with since we were little kids. At that point, was there really any way something so minor could embarrass me? Here goes. Filled with desperation, I launched myself to my feet. Drops of hot spring water splashed and dripped from my more rigid part. Vapor from the spring filled the air for a moment, blocking the view. But that only lasted for a few seconds. The vapor cleared quickly, and a rigid, towering figure emerged from the fog. What the fuck is this? They decided to draw this for some reason. Also, just kidding. They are in fucking shock! Like, why do we have... Did they have to, like, cut off her expression there? Near splitting shriek echoes across the moonlit forest. I cowered down in the spring, covering my ears.
見た何なのあれ
That was a dick! Saya curled up in a ball like a small animal and shook her head weakly. Hey, if you're gonna scream, then don't ask for it! Now I'll be scarred for life!
だってそんなになってるなんて思わないんだもん
I don't know where to put this.
今の本物アキトの股間にロケットがついてたよ怖かった
Seriously, these two. Embarrassed, I sank into the water up to my nose.
子供の頃はあんなに可愛かったアキトのウインナーが
I mean, in the way, this is a fucking compliment. I mean, they were so fucking scared of their sheer fucking size that they felt the need to scream.
ねえ覚えてるでしょさやも昔はこんなちっちゃかったよね今さっきのこんぐらいあったよね
Stop showing the size of your hands! It's way too graphic! Really, I just wanted them to lay off already. I decided that seeing me all worked up hadn't been a great trade after all, even if it was to see both girls' breasts.
すごいもの見ちゃったね見ちゃった
Ugh. I had lost all my dignity as a human being in exchange for boobs. You know what, fuck it. Hold on. Ah, my fucking nose! Ah! I don't know why I decided to scream like that. Screameth behemoth. I don't know why I said that. Why the fuck is this over here? Fucking weird. Hold on. There we go. I do believe this is a good place to end the video, though. What did I want to call the part again? Meat pudding. Yeah, no, flesh pudding. That was it. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and see y'all next time. Bye-bye.